Welcome everyone. Tesla earnings day. Happy what do you want to call it? Happy Christmas. I don't know. We get Christmas 4 times a year, I guess. How's it going? Let me know if my audio is coming in clear and everything like that. I've got the whole deck ready. I've got CNBC up here. Welcome Marco, Chris, Sean, Philip, Harry. Awesome. Thank you, Chris, Tyler. Loud and clear. Awesome. Thanks, Neil, Marco. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so let's talk about the stock price today. So we're up about pretty much a percent on the day. Thanks, guys. Harry. We're up about a percent for the day. Pretty quiet. I will say an interesting thing that I did see this morning was if I looked into the options chain, and we're going to talk a little bit about an iron condor trade to see if that could be potentially worthwhile putting up. Got my interactive brokers on my phone. That's where I do all my trading. But if you look at the IV percentile right over here, we're at 9. We're at 9. So very very low. I don't remember the last time, and I guess that's a function of VIX being so low as well, but I don't remember the last time that IV has been this crazy low. It's just nuts. Volume is super low. Let me check on that 1 sec. All right, maybe that's a little bit better. Let me know also where you guys are tuning in from in the chat. Let me know. Throw me a city, state, whatever you feel, country, if you feel only comfortable sharing that. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Hey, Waka, how's it going? Yeah. Hey, Albert. Nashville, Nash Vegas, nice, Chris. Jersey, Netherlands, obviously, Marco. Sitting from UK, Birmingham, that's right. Oh, trading volume. Oh, right. Gotcha. Okay, it makes sense. Toronto, Maryland, wherever the military tells me to go. Nice, Tyler. Appreciate that. Johnny from Portugal. I know. How's it going, Johnny? Good evening. Good afternoon. Hong Kong, Colorado, Ottawa. Man, got people from everywhere in here. Austin, from Montreal, Calgary. Hey, Vancouver. Fellow Vancouverite, silent. London, Toronto, New Jersey, Japan, Toronto, Amsterdam, Newtown, Germany, Springfield, Missouri. Still, until you get your Cybertruck, Tyler, you're still going to be there. Sweden, Luanda. I'm not sure where that is. That's pretty cool. New York City. What's up, Toronto, the big prison. Seattle, Japan. Yeah, Japan. Wow. Sacramento, California. Every time zone. Wow, that's crazy. Ottawa, New Jersey, Illinois, Tucson, Tucson, sorry, New Jersey. I'm a Canadian. I pardon my pronunciation on these cities. Mississippi, England, North Dakota. Damn. Okay, we got everyone in here. Okay, this is awesome. I love it. Thanks for sharing. Manila. Nice, HLM. Oh, it's the capital city of Angola. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Did I come off as ignorant yet? Okay, cool. All right, so let's zoom into the 1 minute graph here. Like you guys are saying, we're pretty quiet. So volume on the day for Tesla is sitting at 21 million at the moment. Even weirder. Oh, hold on. Even weirder than that, in my opinion. If I pull up our Chrome, got ARK Invest up here. Even weirder than that is if I pull up Flow Algo, and I'm just gonna refresh this. So Apple has a bunch of call sweeps. Tesla only has one call sweep for the day. It's a small $80,000 bet for May expiration, 920 calls. Now, generally speaking, if this was like a $1 million, $2 million bet, bullish. But this is a very small bet, so I can't even take this into consideration. We did see a dark pool order print at around 11:20, so about 40 minutes ago. We saw a 500,000 share dark pool order at 7:37. And considering, and we'll just do some dark pool 101s. If you haven't watched my dark pool video, I suggest you do that. Considering that we're sitting at 736 at the moment, which is lower than where that dark pool print came at 500,000 shares, that would indicate it's a selling side leaning order. So someone wanted to get their sell order filled more than someone wanted to buy it. Because remember, everyone likes to say, and sometimes I'm guilty of this as well, but everyone likes to say, oh, that's a buy order, that's a sell order. remember on shares, every order is going to have a buyer, every order is going to have a seller. So it's not sufficient enough for us to just say, oh, someone sold 500,000 shares, right? What you need to know is what price between the bid and the ask did they get filled at, right? So if someone dumped 500,000 shares at the bid, they hit that bid, then that would be bearish, right? Someone is wanting to liquidate out of their positions. So that's what you have to realize when you're looking at buy, and that's why shares are a little bit different. When we talk about options sweeps, call sweeps, put sweeps, those are coming in entirely, like the definition of a sweep is them getting filled in at the most expensive price possible and keeping it small, bite-sized nuggets across multiple exchanges so they don't get tracked. That's the whole point. So yeah, this is definitely the calm. This is the calm before the storm. Appreciate that, Marshall. This is definitely the calm before the storm. I definitely feel like it. It definitely feels like it. I will say, like 21 million is very low on earnings day. I definitely expected more volume to be in, but remember, I mean, it's power hour now. Maybe volume starts kicking in. To be determined. Chris says, right. So someone selling 1,000 shares at 100 is different than someone selling at 1,000. Exactly. Of course, there's a buyer for the 100 price because it's stupid. Yeah. So you can dump a share really at any, and that's why sometimes you see like blips in stock prices for like a split second where someone had a fat finger, or there was some other reason where they sold $10 below the price it's at right now. Most brokerages, though, like Thinkorswim, will have mechanisms you would think in place to catch your fat finger orders. Like if I put in an order right now to sell one of my Tesla shares at $1, it's not going to probably want to fill that for me at $1. It'll probably fill me at some shitty market price, but probably not $1, right? One more hour. So excited. Yeah. So let's talk about earnings. Let's talk about earnings. While the stock price is kind of in doldrums at the moment. Let's talk about earnings. I've got some Twitter threads pulled up. So let's talk earnings. Hit the like button, people. Appreciate that, Johnny. Thank you. Yeah, apparently the like button helps grow the channel. I appreciate that. By the way, we're almost at 8,000 subscribers. If we can get to 8,000 subscribers at some point during this 5-hour live stream we're gonna have today, my goal will be made. All right, so let's check it out. So Tesla reports earnings today after market close. I've pulled up this Twitter user, AnanaYX. They've consolidated all the data for us here. So, and they have different analysts. Okay, so let's check this out. So Rob Maurer, hold on one sec. Rob Maurer is at, okay, that's good enough. And let me just make my fat head a little bit smaller. Okay, cool. So Rob Maurer is at 90 cents GAAP EPS, earnings per share. Dave from Hey It's Dave Investing, awesome YouTube channel, is at 95 cents GAAP earnings per share. Gary Black's at $1. Matt Smith, who is Sparkplug, has a YouTube channel really good about Tesla energy. I recommend checking him out at $1.01 earning per share. This Twitter user themselves is $1.11. James, who's I cannot underscore enough, is at $1.12, and Mayer is at $1.14. So really bullish, right? Really bullish. So consensus, Wall Street consensus is at 80. I think Whisper is at 90. I can check that out. Earnings Whisper. Let's check out Earnings Whisper. What's it sitting at? Actually, I just saw a Tesla one right there. Let me just click on that. Let's check it out. Sparkspeed. Thank you, Steve. Yes, sorry, misspoke. So Earnings Whisper is at 86 cents. I do it. I didn't show that one. So it's at 86 cents. Earnings Whisper. Wall Street consensus is 80 as per that tweet. So really the number we got to beat for us to see some upside pressure on the stock is 86 cents, right? Wall Street consensus is kind of like just, it's stupid as it is. I think a lot of the algos I think really are based around the earnings whisper. So if someone comes out after hours and they release the report and it's 90 cents earnings per share or something really high, well then all of a sudden those algos start trading that, and we're going to probably see an upward pressure on the stock price. And these algos are highly sophisticated though, right? So we have to remember that these algos aren't, these algos can actually read the earnings report as well. So yeah, some people are saying 90 cents is low. I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible that 90, that we beat 90 cents. So it's interesting. What's Gordon at? I don't know what Gordon's at. Um, so that's the thing is this is the like the whisper number is the one I usually look at for us to beat. So we shall see. Do I think IV Crush? Okay, we got an IV question here. Let's pull up Thinkorswim. Do I think IV Crush will be massive on July 16th, 760s if Tesla's pinned? So if we look at, remember, so here's the thing. It's almost undeniable that there's going to be IV Crush post earnings, right? Like that's like an undisputable fact of life, right? There's no way that post earnings pricing of options all of a sudden on the morning gets more expensive. Usually in the first hour we're going to see a massive decline. But the point here is IV percentile is actually so low. It's 9. It's 9. So out of 100, we could be in the top 99 percentile of pricing for options, how fat they are. We're at 9, right? But that's not to say that there's not a good amount of movement priced in. Like we talked about, I think on our last live stream last week, there's about 8% of a price movement baked into options. By an at the money call, at the money put, about 8%. So that's kind of the catch 22 here, is that there's a good amount of premium, I guess, baked in at the money, but on the longer tails, there's really not a lot. So if you talk about July, let's pull up July here. My gut would say, and there's no, I'm not going to run any numbers here, but 760 you said. So you have a 760, which is going for $73. I would say if Tesla opens tomorrow flat, my guess would, and this is just a total guess, my guess would be just that this 73, so it's the $7,300 call, if Tesla moves $0, just opens tomorrow, this is probably worth $6,000 something. You probably would lose like $1,500 maybe of premium out of this if Tesla opens flat. That's not to say that it can't collapse more than that, but with IV percentile being so low, I'm just guessing that I'm thinking you're probably going to lose a little bit there, but what do I know? Okay, Tyler's saying, been wondering what impact, if any at all, does the new Austin gigapresses have on the balance sheet? So were the gigapresses bought in Q1 or quarter 4? Because it could have been bought in quarter 4, which would mean that they would already be reflected on the balance sheet, but then they were delivered in quarter 1. I don't remember exactly. I have to dig on that. But one thing's undeniable is Tesla's going to be adding cash on hand every quarter now, right? Philip, our guy, he who shall not be named, was closest on delivery numbers. Who knows what's going to happen? That was so funny that he who shall not be named. If you guys don't know, we don't really talk about him too much on this channel. He put earnings or delivery numbers at like insanely high on purpose, so that when Tesla inevitably delivers less than that, he could say, "Look, Tesla, according to me, should have delivered this many cars, and they severely underperformed." And the funny part was we actually hit deliveries right on his number, which is hilarious. Gordon's at 19 cents earnings per share. Thank you, Martin. Wow, that's low. That's crazy. That's funny. You want to know how Bitcoin gains will impact things? Yeah, so for as far as I've kind of researched, and it's not massive, and someone that knows more about accounting and GAAP and IFRS might be able to speak more on this, but to my knowledge, I think Bitcoin gains can't be reflected, but Bitcoin's losses can, just because of the nature of it. And yes, so the shorter term call position, if you guys are wondering, I have one of them. I sold one of them this morning. I have another. I have half of my position left for May 14th. And I'm deciding what to do here. Either I scramble all of these positions together, liquidate them, and buy something out for January, with IV being so low prior to earnings, or I risk a shorter term movement in 45 minutes post earnings. If you know anything about Tesla earnings, if you've been following Tesla earnings around long enough, you know Tesla stock price reaction post earnings is usually it's usually underwhelming. Uh, Maybe we're up 5% usually after hours, and then Elon talks, and maybe it's up 6%, and then it's to 4%. And then usually by the morning, even if it's up 5 to 6%, it usually fades off in the rest of the day. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case this time, but if history has any, if history is indicative at all, that's kind of how Tesla earnings has been. We'll see though. I mean, we'll see. Could this be the time where there's a massive amount of, or there's a massively low amount of premium baked into the options? One thing is I'm not seeing a lot of flows coming into the market. So, I mean, big money is not coming into the market today on Tesla or anything really. We're sitting at 737, by the way, for all the audio users, listeners. So we'll see. You sold all of my crypto today. Oh, nice. Tesla implied 6% move. So I mean, here's the catch-22, right? And it looks like Tesla is bouncing back up a little bit here. Remember, volume weighted average price sits at 738, 739 if you want to round up. So keep that in mind there. So this is sideways action pretty much. It's just kind of setting up the price. The way that kind of even the stock price looks like today is, it looks like there was there's a massive spike up to 750 this morning, and then a complete sell job down to 730. So a $20 price move down, and then a consolidation here. And it looks like we're making lower highs as we go. It's just a snooze fest. I don't think there's too much you can dive into in terms of analyzing for today at the moment. Volume is low for what it should be, in my opinion. It's just kind of a snooze fest at the moment. But here's the thing: when it's a snooze fest, and yes, I got the good juju oranges. When it's a snooze fest, that could be a precursor, right, for the storm that's coming. Who knows? About an 8:50 April 30th call this morning. Nice. Johnny, the run up to earnings has already been underwhelming. Maybe now they'll have a shoot up after. Yeah, potentially. I mean, here's the thing: is napkin. I mean, here's the thing: is the run up. Like, we've had run ups, but they've been followed by us being faded out, right? So, like, the net of it is, if you were an option holder for the last 2 or 3 months, you've gotten demolished, not only in premium but in price action. And even when we've been up 20% or 10% or 5% in a day, it's followed by days of fading, right? So in this market, it's almost like it's a 180 from last year, where you need to take profits faster at the moment. It seems like, at least, and you need to be able to scale in and out of positions faster than you did in 2020. In 2020, when you were up 5x on an option position, you don't want to. I'm glad I did this, but it's very rare that this worked. But in 2020, holding that position worked out so much better than taking your measly 5x, right? But in this market, with the amount of chop that we're seeing, taking profits faster has been the winning strategy in the last couple of months. So we'll see. I mean, let's pull up see what else we got here on earnings day. Let's pull this up. Yeah, for a fact. So, oh, by the way, I'm not sure if this has been verified since last night, but last night I posted on Discord, which, by the way, if you want to join us, link is in the description. I posted so that lady that was standing on the Tesla car in China and protesting. It turns out that some investigative research done by some people that were there, they found out that she actually came into the show with a Neo badge, with a Neo pass. And apparently she was arrested after, but not verified on that. But she came in with a Neo badge and actually drove into the parking lot in a Neo car. So if you want to talk about potentially, number one, Neo coming after China, that could be potentially proof. But another thing it could be is potentially someone is framing Neo, right? You always have to dig a little bit deeper. Potentially someone is framing Neo for this to make up some narrative. But yeah, it's crazy. Real Sniper, did you end up closing your calls on that morning pump? Yeah, I half of them. So I still have half that position up. I'm thinking about selling it, but selling it. What number one rule of options trading for me is buy yourself as much time in longer term conviction plays as you can afford, right? Obviously, the shorter term stuff that you do can have a massive leverage to your account if you hit it. But in the last couple of months, with the portfolio being killed so much, I think it's more prudent to be a little bit more on the safer side than more of the degenerate side I was later, but before. It was 860 May 14th. So we'll see. Do you think capital gains chatter will affect the stock market? Says Anthony. Well, this morning, I'll pull it up. I think FX Hedge posted this morning saying that corporations are saying that there's no way that they're going to let that that capital gain stuff pass. Was that Zero Hedge? Who was it? I posted that. I forget. Someone posted it this morning. I saw a retweet of it. It was some sort of corporation saying that there's no way that they're going to let this capital gain stuff pass. So we'll see. But do I think it's affecting the stock market right now? No, especially like generally speaking on Tesla. You know, I don't think this is happening. I don't think a big effect is happening on that right now. But we'll see. We'll see. Doug, sorry if you answered this before. Do you sell calls against your leaps? Yes, I do. Those are called poor man covered calls. At the moment, I don't, because my strikes are so far out that if I sold something past that, I'd be collecting almost nothing unless I sold really far time out. So, but yes, in the past, definitely do that. A lot of people in our Discord will have like 600 strike leaps for March 2023, 700 or 2022, and then you can sell safely without holding shares out before that if you needed to. Yeah, definitely. I definitely like poor man covered call strategy. Hard to manage though if you're busy. Griffin bought some degenerate weekly calls today, 800 plus. I saw that. Yeah, so you bought some call verticals, right? 800/810, or did you just buy straight up lottos? You hope the short squeeze happens? I hope so too. Waka has a price target of 770, 780. You know, Waka, that's not that's to me, that sounds pretty good. 770, 780. Kara, do you trade for a living? No, I'm I trade for fun. I invest for fun. I do not do this for a living. Although I'm hoping that this YouTube channel can become a bigger part of my life, which would be cool. What's the short interest for Tesla? Last time I checked, which was updated on end of March, it was a day, 1.3 days worth of volume, of average volume. So not that high. Yeah, not that high. Waka, let's not forget Elon payout this time should be better. Yes, so if you don't know, Elon, looks like there's a new report out here. Elon's stock-based compensation that was massive for quarter four, which was I think a $300 or $400 million expense, is not going to be present this quarter. So that is a great point. So Troy Teslike just came out with his revenue estimate for quarter one. We'll find out what the actual number is, obviously. So let's take a look here. Let me in my head here. So Troy is saying for quarter one, interesting. So earnings per share, he doesn't do earnings per share, he just does revenue. Okay. So energy is 600 million, services is 780 million, and 9 billion for auto revenues. Okay. I like earnings per share because I want to know. I'm curious to see what expenses and stuff people are putting in. So S&P just hit a record high. Guys, S&P is just nuts. It was literally just 3,800. Square is up as well. It looks like Square's up about 4%. Is that right? Damn. Okay, maybe I should sell my Square stuff. Let's take a look here. Elon tweeted 13 minutes ago. An advantage I did have is that my father is a talented electrical and mechanical engineer, so I was taught all about engineering. Elon tweeting on earnings day is usually very bullish, right? And Elon's been tweeting a lot of meme stuff lately. So, we all know when Elon's in a good mood, it usually signals something, right? But he's going to be on SNL. Okay, let me ask. Would a CEO of a struggling company be on SNL the week after earnings? Probably not, right? So these are kind of signaling metrics that we look at, and maybe we overanalyze them. I mean, that's just what we do. Looks like Tesla stock's pumping back up a little bit. By pumping, I mean like 50 cents. Albert, do you think a capital gain increase would happen here in Canada? Well, I mean, the way capital gains work here, and my dad's an accountant, so he'd probably correct me, but whatever capital gains you have, there's no short-term differential, there's no long-term differential. Just whatever capital gains you make, take 50% of those and add it to your personal income. That's all it kind of happens here at a personal level, at least. So, I mean, unless they increase the marginal rate of taxes, right? Griffin, I figured 20 to 25% chance of 820 plus when it was valued at 10%. Okay, so you're saying you bought 820 to 830 spreads and they're pretty cheap. They were selling for $1. Oh, interesting. Huh? Interesting. What about the HODL tweet? That's a good one too, Philip. Yeah, HODL everything. Yep, it's that one. Guys, like I can't get over this tweet. In a few, I'm gonna pull it up again. It's deleted, but I just can't get over it. Let's see if someone has screenshotted this. So this one right here, you guys are forgetting. He tweeted back at Whole Mars saying, guys, I'm telling you, FST is the biggest thing ever. Super bullish on this. Nobody gets it, but I know what I've seen. It's a big deal. Tesla's going to be bigger than Apple. He replies saying, I think there's a greater than 0% chance Tesla could be the biggest company. And then he replies to this. It's deleted since then. But he replies to this with this tweet of someone asking him about timeline. And he says, probably within a few months. Now, the going theory is that he meant to reply to something else, and then he deleted it. I don't buy that theory, because if he meant to reply to something else, then he would have deleted this tweet and then replied to that original thread that he was looking to reply to, right? So logic would dictate, if he hasn't replied with that same reply to something else, then he meant to reply to this, but then took it back. So, I mean, Elon's known to, to kind of give us hints like that. Okay, so it looks like we just broke through the volume weighted average price at the moment. So 740 is looking good. What time can we expect the earnings letter to be out? So James, we can expect the earnings letter to be out pretty much right a couple minutes after market close. Wow. Okay. We're soaring into close here, folks. We're soaring into close here. Pretty much a couple minutes, 5 to 10 minutes after market close. The earnings call is going to be at 2:30 Pacific. So an hour and a half after market close. We're going to be live. Join us for the party. You're talking about the largest market cap company tweet. Yeah, that one. It's moving. It's moving. Someone's buying. Someone's buying. Okay. Someone leaked earnings report. I don't think that happened, did it? Mansoor, are you going to be going over the earnings? Are you going to show the earnings call? Yes and yes. We're going to be listening live to the earnings call on this stream, and we're going to be analyzing what we can as well. Buying is coming in, folks. All right, 740. Let's go. Okay, so now that we're pumping up, now I'm going to make a decision on what to do here, because, I can YOLO a shorter term play like Griffin is, or I could use this pump up to potentially buy something a little bit further out. Should earnings be okay, but the stock price doesn't move, right? And 8 out of 10 times, Tesla post earnings doesn't move up 10%. Could this be the time that it does? Potentially. Absolutely. Jack Hughes says, let's see the volume. Jack Hughes, are you related to Jack Hughes from New Jersey? Okay, 23 million. We're at 23 million for volume. If you want the bottom volume, it's blurred. It's a little bit. Oh, you want my face to move? Yeah. Okay, sure. Put it on the left side. Happy. All right. Your earnings per share estimate is at $1. Damn, over $1. Rumor. So this is like the 10th comment on this, but the rumor has Amazon might do a stock split. Man, I really hope Amazon does a stock split. Algos are hidden by. There we go. Let's do it. Sitting on 795 calls. Okay. Let's check it out. So it's almost like I should sell my other positions that I'm up on to buy more Tesla, but Square is moving up steadily now. Square's up 4% on the day, 3.5. Jen, I need a lot of coffee to follow earnings here. It's already what 9:30. Damn. Yeah, that's right. You're gonna need coffee, my friend. I Griffin says IV is still really low right before earnings. That's what I went for, not priced incorrectly. So IV at a percentile level is low, but if you look at the price, so the other way to look at is your thesis right or wrong? Is you can come into the options chain, right? And add in the at the money call, which is going for, let's say, $28, and at the money put, which is going for, let's say, $30. You add those two together, you get 58. It's coming up to $60. So $60 is what is being priced into the market for Tesla stock for this week, which means it's an 8.2% move priced in for the week, closest to at the money, right? Where your gamma is going to be the highest, right? So something to consider there, or sorry, where your Vega is going to be the highest. So it's almost like the at the monies are priced in. It's almost like if you looked at just a normal distribution curve, and you just made it, and you made it a little bit skinnier, where the normal distribution was no longer a normal distribution, but it was distributed disproportionately towards the center is kind of what it looks like. So if you come to the 900 strike calls for this earnings call for this week, they're going for $1, right? We can actually go into last earnings report and see how far priced in stuff was, and we can do that. But it almost seems like the further out, like, would I sell a 900 strike call for $1? I mean, you could argue like there's no way in 4 days we hit 900 if you're, if you're just talking options theory. But at the same time, you're not getting much. It's not like I'm getting $5 to sell that, where the risk reward is better. I'm getting $1, right? To sell something that's at a delta of 4. So, I mean, to each their own, really, of what you want to do here. But that's the way I kind of look at it. Let's pull up the chart. Yeah, it looks like someone pumped that thing up, and then someone's like, okay, thank you, I'll take this price. So 740 really does have a strong amount of resistance. 740 does. Thoughts on selling covered calls now? I mean, definitely do it at your own risk, but the thing is, well, so yeah, covered calls meaning you own shares. I mean, covered calls are always like, no big deal if you have the shares, because you just get called away at 900 or something insane. But if you're doing, let's say, if you're just selling call spreads or something, it's just not a lot of premium in my opinion. But I know people in Discord are selling covered calls, so it's not like and selling puts as well. So people are saying check out the Qs. Okay, let's check out the Qs. Yeah. Okay, so this is a macro kind of sell off that we're seeing. This is the Qs, SPY. There must have been some sort of news out. Let me check Twitter. There must have been some sort of macro news out for a second here. Let's see here. As S&P hits all-time highs, and that news comes out, that's when everyone starts selling. Makes sense. Okay, we got 30 minutes till close, until we see the earnings report out. And then 2:30, so an hour and a half after close, we're going to see the earnings call. See here. No real news, unless someone here has something that they've seen that I've missed. But no real news to see. Tesla is just flirting with that 736 at the moment. I don't see much size other than what 740. But I think Thinkorswim is not great for level 2. I use my Interactive Brokers usually for that. What's CNBC saying? CNBC's off. So yeah, I mean, let's check it out. Anything new? Stock is just pinned. That's absolutely what's happening. Zero Hedge already has an article out about that stock plunge. Let's see what they say. Oh, shortly after consensus data was released, U.S. Equity markets puked. I mean, it was literally for like a hot second, right? We have no idea what the catalyst for the plunges as of yet. One trader exclaimed to us, "What the hell was that?" Okay, so great. You made me click on an article where you literally say nothing. So, all EV stocks are up today. Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, here's one thing: is just because you buy a call option for something at 850 or 800 or something, that doesn't mean that you're expecting the stock price to hit that strike. It just means that you're buying those deltas. Is the way I look at it. But yeah, so with lottos, with stuff that's expiring this week, and you're trying to gamble a little bit on those, just know that with lottos, it's better to take profits faster. So if tomorrow morning there's a huge gap up, yeah, Tesla could potentially run for the rest of the day. And we've seen Tesla have days where it just consistently runs all day, every day. But with lottos, your theta is going to eat you alive. So if you have an 850 strike call for $2.30 for this week, and tomorrow morning you wake up and these are at 7 because Tesla's up 7% or 8%, it's almost better for you to take that profit other than you wait the rest of the day. And if the stock flatlines, that $7 850 call that you had is now probably going to be worth 4 or 2, right? Theta will eat you alive out the money in the week. So Qs are bouncing back up. Good news. Great. They just had Craig Irwin on CNBC talking about Tesla. Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye on that. I have CNBC, or if you want to call it CNBS, pulled up on the side here. We can watch CNBS. You're selling half my YOLO calls. If they double, I'll leave the rest. Nice. Okay. So let's see what I want to do. So I have YOLO call. I still have my September position on Tesla, which is bag holding. I told you guys on that, but I'm not going to sell those. If anything, I want to double down on those. If anything, I will probably not double down, probably roll them down, if anything. So let's check this out. For September, I'll check it out in Thinkorswim, and then I'll do it on Interactive Broker. So for September, if you go into September's option chain, we can look at out of the money calls on Tesla. So for September, Tesla is $1,000 strike call for Tesla for September, which means buying you 144 days, right? Good amount of time. You have at least one other earnings baked in this. You can buy $1,000 strike for $4,000. $1,000 strike for $4,000. Okay. You can buy an 1,100 strike for $2,000, 2.6 grand, 2,600. 1,100 strike call is 20 deltas, meaning if the Tesla stock price goes up by $1, this goes up by 20 cents. So it goes up 20 cents on the dollar. The 1,000 strike call is 27 cents. So for 7 less deltas, you get to pay $1,500 less, which is 15 divided by 40, which is 40% less. So by buying 7 deltas less at 1,100 versus 1,000, you save 40% on the options price. The 1,100, but the thing is, you're gonna need massive conviction for these 1,100 strikes to come to fruition, right? So if you flatline for a month on the stock price, these will theta decay, obviously, as they do. So if I have, welcome Anne. So if I have the 1,200, let me check this out. So if I have the 1,200 and those are going for 1,800. Let me sell those and let me roll them down and pay some more money. So one sec. So basically what I'm trying to do, folks, is I'm trying to roll these down because I've been bag holding on these for a while. If I'm bullish on Tesla earnings, but I don't want to be YOLOing my money for this week, but rather for September, I can roll myself down. So I've sold that. which would mean I could. So the 1100 strike are for $2,600. That's an option. Let me check out here. So this is my YOLO. So I have a May 14th 840 860 strike call. Hey Aaron, how's it going, y'all? Casimir says I may sell the May 28th 1200 covered calls if Tesla spikes tomorrow. Makes sense. Yeah, those would be overpriced if Tesla stock price tomorrow spikes tomorrow. Aaron says Amazon stock split tomorrow. You call stock split Thursday. You called it in January. Yeah, I was wrong about it, but wait, Amazon stock split, is that confirmed? Is that confirmed, Aaron? Ooh. Tell me if that's confirmed. Let me know in the comments. I just gotta buy a September position here. Hold on one sec. So if I look at the positions here for September, now it's a matter of which strike to buy. So buy the 1100, those are for 26. The 1150s are for 32. I only get 3 more deltas on this. The 1100s are 20 delta. I don't mind 20 delta. I mean, it's far out the money. Oh, it's not. Let's check out the stock price. What are you guys saying? Do you see Tesla touching 600s again? Shout out from a lower mainline fall. Hey, thanks, Luis. Do I see Tesla touching 600? I mean, I hope not. I mean, anything's possible. What we've seen from January, February, March, right? Or from February to March. Personally speaking, I mean, I'm bullish on Tesla. I'll just put it that way. Don't think so. It's a rumor. Okay, it's not confirmed. Multiple reports saying announcing it Thursday. Okay, nice. Manuel says, quote, Amazon stocks with speculation sends stocks higher. Okay, gotcha. Sends the shares higher. Yeah, I thought it was going to happen in January. Okay, so and I guess they wanted the new CEO to be in charge of that. So if I look at the 1100s, just buy one of these. Let's see here. So the 1100s. By the way, anyone else buy PSTH at all, or is it just me bag holding on PSTH? Waiting for a merger on that. Let's check this out. Okay, there we go. Tesla's really just gonna be pinned right here. It seems like. It seems like it doesn't want to move, other than here. How are you gonna celebrate if we beat earnings today? Says Aaron. Right after our stream, we got a Canucks game on, so I'm probably gonna jump into the Canucks game right after this and hope for we're not doing too hot. If you guys follow hockey, I'm not sure if you do. A lot of Americans in here, so probably not. But as a Canadian, yeah, I follow hockey a lot, and the Canucks suck. So nothing much other than just watching the Canucks game. Maybe I'll order out takeout if Tesla beats earnings reports. Yeah. How about you guys? Let me know how you guys would celebrate if Tesla comes out with massive earnings. Canucks lose. It's not funny, man. It's sad to be a Canucks fan sometimes, you know. But it is what it is. It comes with the territory. Preds are you guys like hockey? Nice. Preds are killing it. Times to be no, it can't be. I do like Joe Sakic though. Bag holding IPOE says Steve. Yeah, IPOE was one of those as well. IPOF. Actually, IPOF was the one for me that was I was just bag holding that for a while. I just got rid of it. My son-in-law is from Canv. I'm not sure what that is. I will be celebrating by taking profit to my massive tax bill from last year. Oh, I feel you. This week I've been doing all my tax stuff. Not fun. Not fun. So let's check this out here. Hold on, we got 15 minutes. Tesla looks like it's sitting at 737, sorry. Let's check this out. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for that to get filled there. Sister lives in BC. Oh, nice. Blackhawks fan here. Nice. I'm Kelsey. Can't say I have any love for the Blackhawks as a Canucks fan. I'm sure you know that. A lot of local people here. Vancouver? Yeah, nice. A lot of local lower mainland folk in here. Nice, I like it. Check this out. Yes, I am a realtor as well. Okay, so it looks like we're just going to be flirting around 737 at the moment. Let's check out Flow Algo and see what sort of other stuff we got going on. Tesla earnings after the bell. Seatbelts are required. Absolutely. Let me just check if I got filled on this. Bruins fan here, says Greg. Ooh, Greg, that's a tough look. Kidding. You guys are... It's now or never for you guys. Taylor Hall remaking that second line. So Flow Algo is showing, again, only one call sweep for Tesla on the day, which is very unusual. Extremely unusual. That doesn't happen very often. You know, even on the slowest days, we'd be seeing more stuff happening here. Let's check this out. So order, hold on a sec. Get filled. Pay up a little bit. Okay, filled. Okay. So now I just lowered my strikes on the September just to buy some more deltas and to roll it down. Because remember, if you have a 1500 strike call on Tesla and you're bag holding it, for you to make up that money faster, the more deltas you have, if the stock price should go up, the faster you're going to recoup that money, right? And so that's happened multiple times. Like last September, when we fell a massive amount into Tesla after the stock split. That strategy proved to work because Tesla stock price went up after. And if you believe in Tesla stock price until September, at least, I guess, then potentially that's a strategy that you can look into doing. I do have Square still. Square is a funny stock. It can rally 10 to 20% in a week, and then it can sell all of that off the following week, and then it'll just rinse and repeat. But it's kind of the growth on the stock has stagnated for a little bit. Dan, nice. No one knows how to play Tesla right now. So, I mean, that's the tough part. You can't really sell premium with massive amounts of confidence because it's not like your premium you're getting is so fat and juicy that even if the position goes against you, you have enough leverage to move around. You can't buy premium because, I mean, you can buy premium, especially if you're buying longer term, different story, but you can't buy shorter term premium because, if you do, that's fine, but you really need that move to happen. And logic would dictate that premium is cheap because they're not moving the stock price, right? Like you've seen it last week. How steady they've kept the whole stock price, right? So, okay, Brian, good question. How likely would Elon announcing the holding company on X on this call happen? He would have to inform us investors in advance. So that's the wild card that I threw out there last week on the video is there's a greater than 0% chance, to quote Elon, that potentially we hear something about Company X on this earnings call. Definitely possible. One thing I did find interesting though is, do you guys remember on January's earnings call, Elon and Tesla had already bought in Bitcoin at that point, but they didn't even tell us on that earnings call. Do you guys remember that? So earnings call happened. Third week of January. Tesla came out a week later saying that they had bought in Bitcoin in the beginning of January. And so potentially speaking, there's stuff on this call that we're not going to hear about that has already happened. You guys are maniacs. First time options buyer 800 for January 2022 and 2023. Even those have me sweating. Nice, Paul. Nice. I mean, the biggest thing with options is safety first. Don't sell naked stuff if you don't have the cash on hand, or if you don't have the risk tolerance for stuff. Make sure that if you're doing stuff that you're protected. If I'm buying a call, the most I can lose is if I buy that call, it expires at 0. Unless it expires in the money, then I have to buy those shares and stuff like that. But yeah. What do you? I think Tesla may announce today, says ES 1911. Definitely possible. We'll see. Champ says, so earnings calls at 2:30, which is in an hour and a half. But what time are the earnings released? The report itself is usually released within the next 5-10 minutes after close. So we have 10 minutes till close. We're at 7:34 at the moment. Company X, everyone, let's Dan says I think they'll announce Model 2 today. Interesting. That'd be nice. The Company X stuff would be a massive wild card. I just don't know, like, in hindsight's always 2020, but Elon saying maybe in a few months Tesla might be bigger than Apple, like, and then deleting it and then not replying. It's just, there's just, I don't know. For me, I take that pretty more seriously than I probably should. That's just me. Tesla price bombing now. Oh, don't. I mean, if you've traded Tesla long enough, you know a little move like this is not considered bombing up and down. Tesla moves, like no other stock, especially in the last year. Don't worry. It's a $5. Like, we're already back at 737. All good. All good. Volume still low. TJX gonna give it to you. Yeah, exactly. There won't be a new model for a while, says Griffin. Insiders were saying big things are coming. I do think by September there is a Guangzhou. There's another not Guangzhou. There's another Chinese auto show in September. Forget which one it is, but the rumors are that that they're going to announce the Model 2 at that point. So because apparently the Model 2 is going to be designed in China, is the word. So something to keep in mind there. So FSD subscription, good point. Okay, so FSD subscription should be coming out within the next 30 days. It almost has to. And Elon has said it's a sure thing. I know Elon has a timeline problem. I'd like to, and trust me, I'm the number one critic of Elon timelines. But when he says it's a for sure thing next month, I mean, if you can't believe that, I don't know what you can believe at that point, right? So, running a public company ties your hands. Elon says multiple times it's a pain in the ass. He doesn't like it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could argue, though, having 7 different companies or whatever, all disjointed, is a lot more of a headache to Elon than having it all under Company X. Neuralink, Boring Company, SpaceX, which I think is also tied into Starlink, Tesla, right? Like future projects. It's probably a lot more of a headache having all those disjointed and having your money try to flow in and fund things. Like, it's probably more annoying. Johnny says Company X, I don't think so. It's absolutely secondary. There's many announcements to be made. Yeah, definitely. It's just we're throwing out wildcard scenarios. So it looks like we're probably gonna finish at the volume weighted moving average, which is the purple dotted line there of 739. I do have Neo, yes. You wonder how much of Tesla earnings beat is already priced in. So remember, Wall Street consensus sits at 80 cents earnings per share. While the whisper number is 86 cents. The Gary Black Twitter expert Tesla people are sitting at around $1 for their consensus. So if Tesla comes out with $1 earnings per share, GAAP earnings per share, that's a massive beat. It also is going to be dependent. A big portion of earnings is not just earnings per share related, because we've all seen, or if you haven't, we've seen companies beat earnings and sell off. Guidance has a big portion to do with it. Are they going to guide higher? Are they guiding lower? Are they guiding problems in their logistics and manufacturing? Are they guiding for different turmoils like currency hedging or currency fluctuation problems coming up for their supply chain? Like, there's a lot of things, right, that go into determining. And so algorithms, almost inevitably, I've seen it in the last little bit, in the first couple of minutes post earnings report release, usually sell off the stock. That's usually what happens. And then from there, we actually see the real move. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, if they guide and they say, okay, we're guiding for 1 million cars in 2021. So, hey, let's check out CNBS.
The gross margins, most expected to be around 22%. Also, delivery guidance. Will we get one for the full year 2021? And then there's Elon Musk himself. The Tesla conference call is always the most interesting part of earnings day for Tesla, though the last couple of quarters have been rather subdued. As you take a look at shares of Tesla, keep in mind they are expected to post a profit. It would be the 7th straight quarter that is a profitable one for these guys. Earnings coming out in a few minutes. Guys, back to you.
Phil, thanks so much for that. We look forward to those numbers. Mike Santoli, I mean, clearly shares aren't doing anywhere near as good as they were last year. That said, with a few dips below 600, the 700 to 800 range is kind of a bit of a relative win, isn't it?
So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a pretty severe shakeout. It had this, follow through to when it got added to the S&P 500. The price the S&P index funds bought it at, I believe, is $695 in December. Then ramped with the rest of NASDAQ into January, $900 top tick. And then, yeah, it went down below 600 at one point in that kind of nasty downdraft. And it has rebuilt itself. And I think the question is always, when it comes to Tesla, how much do quarterly results matter? This is a stock that's been driven by, this massive, big picture, multi-generational, we're going to save the world story about energy. It's not necessarily about beating, delivery estimates by a few thousand in a quarter, or whether you actually earn money if you take out the EV credits and all the rest of it. So I think it ends up being kind of an eye of the beholder story. But yes, the stock has held pretty firm since that downdraft and has not really revisited those lows. It's got this little mini uptrend, but looking like trapped within a range, at least for a little while longer.
What's also different this time, Michael, is we always ask about competition, but now you're seeing some real momentum in the stock and the business plans and the strategy behind names like General Motors. So number one, Tesla won't probably have to sell as many of these credits, right? I don't know, this quarter or down the road, as the competition ramps up its own zero emissions kind of vehicles. But what about the competition eating into market share?
Yeah, so I think Tesla a year ago was 80% of the electric vehicle market. Now they're just around 70. And to Michael's point, this stock has done so well over the long term that even the near 40% pullback that we saw a few weeks ago barely even made a dent in the long-term trend. So right now, it's sort of in no man's land, but the longer-term trend, even with such a gigantic decline, is still undoubtedly higher. And also to Michael's point, the bulls here, they're not looking at the fundamentals. I mean, they think that this thing is going to be a $2 trillion stock. So I think that the bears could bang their head against the wall for whatever we're going to see coming out, but the bulls are playing a different game.
Mike Santoli, just also wanted to mention the bounce in Bitcoin today. I mean, pretty pronounced now, a 10% gain, which obviously helps the general mood of risk appetite.
Yeah, it does, and it's coinciding with a few other little inklings of maybe some of the retail traders or people who like the high-octane stuff getting a little friskier. You had GameStop and AMC up today. So it just seems as if you see these little eruptions of interest in those areas. Obviously, Bitcoin, talk about something that still, has been within a pretty strong uptrend even after a nasty pullback. I think.
Oh. If that doesn't show you how out of the loop they are, I don't know what will. It's funny. It's these guys think competition is coming. ID4 is going to take everything. It's just obvious they haven't driven a Tesla before, right? And I love how they just sprinkle in little things. We have a minute left until market close here. They sprinkle in little things like, Tesla bulls don't care about fundamentals. Like they just throw in stuff like that as if to kind of just bring it's just nuts. Competition is coming. Exactly. So we got a minute left here. ID4. Exactly. The ICE vehicles are the ones that should be scared, not the ID4s, not the other shitty EV cars out there. Whatever. Like, we want EVs to expand, right? So yeah, okay, we got about a minute left here. Make your last little moves that you can on the option side. I'm going to stick with my shorter term position, a small scale, my Septembers, and then obviously my shares that I've been accumulating slowly. Here comes the bell in the next 40 seconds. I'll let you guys do your last little trades here if you can, if you want. Earnings report should be out very shortly after hours here. Again, if we come over 90 cents earnings per share, should be good. Remember, if we hit, there's the off chance that earnings per share comes out really low for some odd reason that we didn't expect, and expect to sell off at that point. So we'll see. We'll see. We got 10 seconds here, folks. Let's do it, and the earnings report should be out in the next little bit here. Let's do it. Anticipation is killing me too. Yeah. There it is. There's the bell. And what we'll do here is I'll have Twitter up here. Twitter and the investor relations feed on Tesla's website. I'll continually refresh both. Twitter, I found Twitter to be probably the fastest source of news, honestly. Just because some people get it emailed to them faster, and some Twitter bots are out there with Bloomberg Terminal. So we shall see. Let's keep our fingers crossed here for good earnings. I'm sure they'll be decent. But remember, the earnings call itself will be a telltale sign for investors for what's to come in the next little bit here. So rock and roll time, absolutely. Let's do it. So I'm refreshing. Don't you worry. I mean, as soon as it comes out, we'll see the algo start trading this. Okay, so hold on. Check out here, earnings date, shareholder deck. So we shall see. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Jason, thank you for the stream. Just subscribe. Appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Appreciate it. Your guys' names should be popping up here, but what's it called? Streamlabs or whatever I use is not the best, but it should pop up. Appreciate you guys. Okay, what are your thoughts? 800 or 500? Arrow, I'd probably guess 800 between those two numbers. 500 would be tough for me right now. Yash called it 738 close. Yeah, pretty much right on the volume weighted moving average. Appreciate it, Steve. So let's do it. So 738, we're still sitting at around here. I'll pull up time and sales as well. Time and sales is like the God's honest way that we can see what ticker flow is coming in here. So if you see on the top where my mouse is, just under all the studies and stuff, these are the actual ticker tape grades that are coming in. So if you don't want to look at the graph, small numbers there, you can take a look at the ticker tape at the top. So if you see size come in, that's a telltale sign, etc., etc. Wade, first time enjoying your coverage. Thank you, Wade. Appreciate that. Matthew, thank you, homie. No fluff, just straight info. Appreciate that, Matthew. Yeah, that's what I try to keep it. Not, I mean, we're here for one reason, right? So slide deck. Oh wait, is it up? No, not up yet. Not up yet, folks. I got excited. I'm on Twitter. Not up yet. The anticipation always kills me with Tesla earnings, because you just never know, right? They always throw in something in there. It would feel great if Tesla popped up 10%. Absolutely. Thanks, Bobby. 8 minutes. You guys think at 110? Yeah, potentially. Hope so. At 110. Honestly, it comes out at any second, so I'm just hitting refresh here. Aaron, just a reminder for investors not worried about the quarterly report. If it doesn't come in great, don't worry. This is a long-term buy if we're lucky enough to have it. Yeah, so absolutely, right? And I just shrunk myself. That's there's kind of like two different types of people, right? There's investors and there's traders. And I've said this multiple times on the channel, just like Anthony from Pounding the Table, great podcast, check him out. We're kind of invaders on this channel. We have investments, but we also do short-term trading, swing trading, medium-term trading. So it's kind of like an active trader that's also an investor, right? That's kind of the vibe that we have on the channel with people here. But absolutely right, yeah. You're spamming F5 so hard. Yeah, exactly. You're welcome, E. Hernandez. Appreciate you watching. Gonna pick up a few air tags. Why not? Yeah, got air tags. Yeah, those are gonna be hot sellers, I think. Let's see. I think everyone's refreshing this page. It's probably gonna crash soon enough, but we shall find out. So far, the stock price is just sitting right where it should. We'll see. We'll see. It's hard to see Tesla's advantage overcome by anyone. the number one problem with EVs is battery technology and scaling battery tech, right? It's not necessarily the UI, the software, it's the battery, right? And with the new 4680 battery cell production out of Berlin and obviously out of Austin coming up and some in Fremont, the 4680 battery tech, we saw it during Battery Day when everyone wanted some sort of massive announcement on Battery Day and we didn't get it and we saw a huge sell-off of the stock after Battery Day. That was the day that signaled, if Tesla, it looks like Tesla's rallying a little bit here. That was the day that signaled, okay, we're up. Looks like the report might be out. Let's check it out. Some sort of algos caught it. Okay, we're popping. No, we're not. Okay, so it's just nothing yet. Just small volume is moving the stock. 7:30. Okay, we're selling off here. It looks like the earnings must have come out here. Let's see. Trying to find it. 9 cents GAAP earnings per share. Is that right? Let's see. I don't see it yet, but someone must have it. Oh, someone just got, it looks like some algos just got tricked out by that. So constantly refining battery tech is Tesla. Exactly, Steve. So it's crazy that, you know, if you take a 60 kilowatt battery pack and you put it in a Nissan Leaf, or if you put it in a Tesla, we talked about, you know, getting the cheapest kilowatt battery packs possible. But on top of that, it's efficiency. It's that same 60 kilowatt battery pack in a Nissan Leaf, from experience, I'm telling you, is not the same range as putting that same battery pack in a Model 3. So the efficiency factor is crazy. Yeah, right now we're just seeing just massive ups and downs based on, looks like nothing's coming up at the moment. So we'll see. At the moment, from what you see on the screens, Tesla sitting at 730. I don't put much weight into this at the moment unless earnings have been leaked out, because they haven't been at the moment posted on the site. So we're up. Oh, 93 cents, someone says. Guys, you guys can easily fool me, so don't just throw in some cents. Okay, we dropped it. Okay, let's share the screen here. Let's go. I got it. Okay, great. Q1 update. Okay. So cash flow, operating cash flow, great, $293 million. Model 3 was the best-selling premium in the world. Okay, so 594 GAAP operating income for the quarter, 438 GAAP net income. So 93 cents is the GAAP earnings per share. It looks like you guys are telling me in the chat. If we look at automotive gross margin, 26.5%. Whew, that's really good. That's really good. 26.5%. Awesome. Great to see that growth. Revenue grew 74% year over year. These are really good earnings in my opinion. Let's read. Guys, I'm not an algo. It's gonna take a hot second for us to read this, okay? Primarily achieved through substantial growth in vehicle deliveries as well as growth in other vehicles. ASP, so average selling price, declined by 13% year over year and reduced in Q1 due to product updates. Our operating income has improved in Q1 compared to last quarter, resulting in a 5.7% operating margin. Oh, so talk about Bitcoin right here. The sale of Bitcoin, which is $101 million. Oh, sorry, folks. Which is $101 million of positive impact. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Our quarter end cash and cash equivalents decreased to 17.1 billion in Q1. Okay. So a little bit down there, driven mainly by net cash flow outflow of 1.2 in cryptos. Okay. So they're not calling cryptos cash and cash equivalents. Okay, makes sense. Net debt and finance lease repayments of 1.22 billion. Okay, so we already know production was this much for the quarter. I'm gonna move it here. These are really good earnings. Well, and we're gonna take a look at the stock price in a second here. These are good earnings. If we look at Q1, solar grew. Where is it? Solar deployed. It looks like year over year it grew, but it looks like storage deployed was substantially low this quarter. And let's check out the stock price for a hot second, because I know that's what we care about a little bit. All right, we're selling at 738 at the moment. T-Mac, thanks for the super chat. You're beautiful, but hide your face while going over the deck. Oh, right. Appreciate that. Okay, hold on. I got this. Not the first time I'm doing this, but it is what it is, right? Okay. Let's follow T-Max. Hide this shit. Let's hide my fat face. Okay. What else do we have? So storage went down to 445 megawatt hours. Over Q4 we got 1500. So we got that there. California and Texas. So in Fremont, Model Y production continued to ramp successfully and is approaching full capacity. Okay. In Texas, the factory build continues to progress quickly, remaining on track to start productions. We recently began moving equipment into the building and process of commissioning them into certain areas. Okay, cool, bullish. Berlin, in the build out of the Gigafactory Berlin, continue to move forward with the production and deliveries remaining on track for late 2021. Okay, not bad. Machinery for plant stamps, castings continues to be moved in the building. In the meanwhile, we'll continue to increase import volumes to Europe. That's awesome. That's awesome. So good news there. So full self-driving. Our team continues to focus on the version 9 of full self-driving city suits beta, which will soon become more widely available in the US. We believe a vision-only system is ultimately what you need to do. Okay, great. Makes sense. Vehicle software. Okay, so there's to talk about the supply chain, global chip shortage issues, in part by pivoting extremely quickly to new microcontrollers. Okay, they talk about how they combated some of the problems there, while simultaneously developing firmware for new chips made by new suppliers. Okay, great. A lot of stuff. So outlook. So let's look at the outlook. Volume. We plan to grow manufacturing capacity as quick as possible. Over a multi-year horizon, we expect to achieve a 50% annual average growth in vehicle deliveries. In some years, we may grow faster, which we expect to be the case in 2021. Okay, so there you go. They just said, which I think they're reiterating this, they plan to grow greater than 50% this year. So if they did 500,000 cars last year, they plan to do at least 750 this year. The rate of growth would depend on our equipment capacity, operational efficiency, and capacity and stability of the supply chain. Okay, cash. We have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap, long-term capacity plans, and expansion and other expenses. Great, makes sense. Profit. We expect our operating margin will continue to grow over time, continue to reach industry-leading levels with current capacity expansion and localization plans underway. Okay, we're currently building Model Y capacity at Gigafactory Berlin and Gigafactory Texas to remain on track for start production deliveries from each location. So they're sticking with this. They're saying they expect production and deliveries to happen this year from Berlin and Texas. So that's good. And they said Tesla Semi deliveries will begin in 2021. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. What else? So these are some awesome pictures of the stamping press and the Model Y factory in Texas. Look at Texas. That's crazy. I remember the day they announced it. Last summer. That's nuts. So what else do they announce? Anything else that's of importance here? So yeah, you guys are right. So basic is 46 cents, and weighted is, and so diluted is 39 cents for Q1. These are net income earnings per shares. Let's see here. What else is interesting to look at? That is it. That's the stockholders. So let's see what Twitter has to say about this. Pull up Twitter. Let's see what people are saying on Twitter. I'm going to zoom out here, folks. Okay. Pull that up. Back. All right. So on Twitter, we have, let me just zoom out here for a hot second. Okay. Tesla end of quarter. So yes, so this is going to be something that's going to be quoted a lot. You know, cash equivalents have gone down, yes, but that's because they've put money into what others might classify as a better vehicle to hold your cash, which is crypto, which I don't think classifies as a cash or cash equivalent. Tesla did 10.4 billion in revenue. Crazy number. Crazy. I think Troy Tesla got that right on the head. Gene Munster. Okay, I like Gene. Gene says, hold this down a little bit. Gene says Tesla numbers are in. Automotive gross margins X credits are 22%, up from 21% in December, which is positive. Still slightly below where it was in September at 23.7. Okay, so X credits is down slightly. Bottom line is it rebounded, which is good. Tesla reiterates 50% long-term growth target like we talked about and continues to expect 2021 growth to be above that number, which is what I'm guessing originally shot that price higher. Stock moving slightly lower after hours. Keep in mind, shares are up 22% over the last month. Yeah, I mean, if we had a massive sell-off, that's potentially what it is, right? So I mean, good earnings. Nothing massively like revolutionary in terms of company X or anything like that. To say in there. Tesla Solar was up, but storage was down. I think so. James says, breaking, this is the most important page on the earnings for a long-term Tesla investor. 93 cents per share is an all-time record for any quarter, and quarter one is typically the worst quarter for all autos, which he's totally right. So net income growth or adjusted EBITDA growth you see is growing, not exponentially, but it looks like it's getting there quarter over quarter. And remember, auto companies are not supposed to have a strong quarter one. Quarter one is supposed to be weak, right? Operating cash flow is exponentially growing, so that's great to see. Free cash flow, same scenario there. And vehicle deliveries, again, so they reiterated 50% growth, which Gary Black probably is not happy about. Gary Black wanted a real number, so let's check out what Gary Black has to say on this. Tesla beat non-GAAP earnings per share. So non-GAAP 93 cents. By the way, non-GAAP is all that really matters in my opinion. Like stock-based comp is the massive difference between non-GAAP and GAAP earnings. And honestly, I don't care about stock-based comp as an expense, really, as a long-term investor, right? So non-GAAP is a big number to care about. And I think we all vowed when the S&P was saying that they need to be GAAP or GAAP positive for 4 quarters straight. I think we vowed last year that after the 4th quarter straight, we are never going to look at GAAP earnings again. So I don't. So I agree with Gary here. But the stock is down because $518 million in regulatory credits higher than expected. I don't know if it's from that. I think the headline of or cash and cash equivalents is down 1.7 billion because of cryptocurrency buying. Which, by the way, someone let me know in the comments. Did they buy more crypto? Because I forget what the original number of how many bitcoins they bought was. Did they buy more? Does that signal that they bought more? Interesting. So stock is sitting at, let's pull up the stock price at the moment. So it looks like we had an original pump up and then a sell off, and now we're consolidating around 730. So, I mean, to be determined kind of what happens. There's nothing, what this signals is that there's nothing immediately outstanding either way for algos to be trading on one way or another. What's going to move the stock price now is not really going to be anything in the report. It's going to be the earnings call that's coming up in the next hour. So keep in mind of that. So okay, so Martin and Steve are saying they bought 1.5 billion crypto. Okay, so if they bought 1.5 and now the report is saying that they've bought in 1.7, is it? I'll check again. Decrease. Oh no, net cash flow of 1.2 to cryptocurrency Bitcoin purchases. Okay. Hey, also maybe we'll get an update from Elon as to when they're going to start accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment. Or how much Bitcoin they've collected as a form of payment. Because I wonder, if you buy a car in Bitcoin, you give Bitcoin to Tesla, does Tesla market that Bitcoin at the rate of what Bitcoin is in that minute? Does it just hodl the Bitcoin, which it probably does? If it hodls it, how does it reflect that in the revenue? Some person in the comments can let me know if you're an accountant or how the GAAP and IFRS and stuff like that work around cryptos. They've made double of their money on their Bitcoin though. I think close to double, right? So I think mid 30,000 is what they bought their Bitcoins at, according to Coinbase and Twitter. and now Bitcoin's sitting at 54,000. So I mean, not double, but pretty close to it. Lucid Motor guys, Tesla killer. Says, probably saying that tongue in cheek. So yeah, so I mean, revenue growth is crazy. Really good earnings for quarter one. Really good earnings. And I've said this, you know, Tesla post earnings is usually, you don't see that massive spike up, but you know, it is what it is. So who was right? Tesla's fine, probably not for in it to clear 750, but it doesn't mean it's a compelling short. Yeah, definitely not. Hey, breaking news: Lyft is selling driving units to Toyota for 500 million. 550 says Sawyer on Twitter. Interesting. Here's one thing people don't get about regulatory credits on Tesla. It's not like the government is handing Tesla $518 million every quarter or whatever it is. It's literally the legacy automakers that want to exist, that cannot keep up with European legislation around EVs, about a quota of number of EVs. They have to buy their credits from an automaker like Tesla, who solely makes EVs, in order for them to manufacture their ICE vehicles. So it's not something, it's not like Tesla is taking advantage. I mean, they definitely are getting advantaged from this position, but it's not like the government's handing Tesla money for being an EV maker. It's more so that these legacy autos cannot keep up with their regulatory demands that they need to, and therefore they have to pay Tesla. So it's really a deficiency on the part of the legacy automakers, not something that Tesla is unfairly taking advantage of something, right? Elias says I have a nice beard. Thank you, Elias. A rule. Elon said that he'll keep the Bitcoins, that Bitcoins will not convert to US dollars. So if that's the case and they're hodling their Bitcoins, I would like to see in the report like how many Bitcoins they have at all times. Like if that's something that we get information on. So H&H says crypto value is reported based on closing price at the end of the fiscal year. If Bitcoin went to $1 million just before earnings, it doesn't impact earnings data because it's reported end of the quarter. Yeah, so it's interesting to see how many Bitcoins they would have is I guess what I'm trying to say. Why is Tesla dropping despite the earnings estimate? So I mean, guys, this is what happens post Tesla earnings. Like I said, 8 times out of 10. Go back, and I said this an hour ago. Tesla earnings are usually a sell the news event, even if they're good earnings. Now, if you own options, that kills your theta. If you own longer term leaps, I mean, no big deal, whatever, right? You still have future earnings baked in. That's the benefit of having leaps. But Tesla earnings are, and that's not to say the next week we don't systematically go up 5% every day, because if I pull up the daily graph on Tesla, this is the daily graph, okay? And I'll move my head here. This is the daily graph on Tesla. If we look at earnings, right? So earnings is labeled on the bottom there, right where my mouse is, okay? So after earnings, we can see here, Tesla stays flat. Right there, that's earnings of last July. This is when they announced Giga Texas. Earnings in September, right here. You can see Tesla stayed pretty flat for the week before it soared up. And if we pull up earnings in January, we'll see that Tesla fell and then shot up to 900. I think we all remember that, and then proceeded to have a macro event. How low will it go? 690? I mean, let's wait for the Elon conference call, right? That can potentially move if he guides. If he says something off the cuff, he says something else, that will move the price. So it's gonna depend on what's happening on that call, which is, by the way, coming up in the next hour here. So stay tuned for that. Here. Griffin says gross margin excluding credits is 22%. Absolutely huge. Yeah, it was big. It was bigger in September. I think it was 23.7% ex credits in September. But remember, that's quarter 2, right? So quarter one is or sorry, that's quarter three. So quarter one earnings are going to be it's like seasonally lower. The fact that they hit record revenue and record earnings per share, and they hit the 7th straight quarter of profitability, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So let's pull up what else we have here. Let's look. Take a look here. What other breaking news do we see in here? Zero hedge as usual. Our negative Nancy of the investment world. Tesla slides after beating earnings per share, but all net income comes from. So this is how they frame it, right? They frame everything comes from regulatory credit. So it's just crazy that they can spin anything. But watch, the minute that so regulatory credits, technically speaking, from what I've read, should be close to finished, almost finished at the moment. And if that's the case, watch, Tesla is just going to release full self-driving, and they're going to make all that money back and more in full self-driving monthly subscription packages. So yeah, we're going to see. Here, what else is new? So Holmar has just consolidated some data. So quarter one last year, 5.13 billion in revenue, and 9 billion this quarter in profit. 16 million last year quarter one. This year quarter one, 438 million. If we go to Gary Black, definitely is going to be talking about regulatory credits, and those are being terrible for Tesla. Let's see what he says. So yeah, so he's saying the stock is down because 518 million regulatory credits, higher than expected. I don't see why that's a negative, in my opinion. And also, okay, hold on. It looks like Tasha is scheduled to join Bloomberg at 5 p.m. Eastern to weigh in on Tesla earnings. Guys, we're going to be tuning in for this. I can watch it. Hopefully I can get audio here. There we go. Okay. We're going to be watching Tasha Keeney in half an hour, so stay tuned on that. She is super smart. She's the head of pretty much Tesla research at ARC at the moment. So Steve says Company X coming. If it's going to come, it might be on the call. Definitely might be on the call. Sawyer says first deliveries of the new Model S should start very shortly. Model Y production rate in Shanghai continues to improve quickly, and 2 more factories in Berlin, Texas are making progress. So yeah. So great news there. Sam says we got the shittiest quarter out of the way, and it was awesome. So I mean, quarter one is just it's quarter one is gonna be it's quarter one, right? No one likes quarter one. Quarter one sucks in autos. It's just lame, but still really strong earnings from Tesla. Look on the right side, says Squawk Square. Tesla didn't show anything that should concern us shareholders. Yeah, I mean, wait till the earnings call before you speak too soon on that. So, again, we're going to be seeing Tasha Keeney on Bloomberg TV at 2 o'clock, so about half an hour. That should be good. Tesla is currently sitting at $730-ish at the moment. We did not see a massive amount of volume come in. We saw an uptick and then a downtick, so nothing massive. Aswarth says, new investor here. What's Company X? Okay, so essentially, we all know Elon Musk has 7 different companies operating: Boring Company, Neuralink, Starlink. Neuralink, Starlink, SpaceX. Insert other future projects. Someone recommended on Twitter to Elon, hey, what if you consolidated all your companies into one company called Company X? And that way it was a little bit easier for investors to just invest in you. And he said that was a good idea. And he tweeted last month, Elon did, saying there's a greater than 0% chance that Tesla might be a bigger company than Apple. And then someone asked him a question around that, and he replied saying probably within a few months. And then he deleted that. He promptly deleted that tweet after. So that's Company X. That's the story. Potentially not going to happen, but Like Griffin says, like Alphabet and what happened with Google around that. We'll see. Tyler makes a good point. Elon owns a trademark X and X.com. That's true. Somebody, my butt, yeah, it was Dave Lee. You call yourself a Tesla? Yeah, well, he was a newer investor, so I don't want to just name drop a bunch of people. Everyone knows it was Dave. I've already made a video on Dave too. I think he's awesome. It's a great result without any extra production capacity. We may get exponential growth after Berlin factory opening. Like, I think Berlin opens middle of this year. Texas, like, I guess what it sounds like from reading the shareholders report, is that it sounds like even though the factory might not be completed, they might have some vehicles being made, like Model Ys, apparently, out of those factories prematurely, just to fulfill some existing demand. So we'll see. Good cover, I believe you. Elon's a badass. Indeed, might announce it today. I mean, it's a complete stupid rumor, but man, if that happened, I'd be very interested to see what would happen to stock price. I mean, the thing with the earnings call is the earnings call is only as good as the questions that are being asked on the earnings call, right? And like last earnings call, I've said this, is that last earnings call, we know that Tesla had already bought in Bitcoin. Tesla had already bought in Bitcoin by the time the earnings call happened, and they didn't even tell anyone. Like no one knew that they had bought in Bitcoin by then. So if we look at the questions that are up today, let's take a look at that here. Let me pull that up once. Share split? No, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to have that. Okay, let's look at the top questions for the earnings call today. Okay. The number one voted question is from Rob Maher saying, how is Dojo coming along? Remember, that's Tesla's supercomputer system. Could Dojo unlock an AWS-like business line for Tesla over the next few years? That's a great question, and potentially one that can bring a movement into the stock price. Because remember, I don't have all the numbers off the top of my head, but if you look at Amazon for a hot second, and Amazon was overvalued, like Tesla was overvalued for a long time. If you look at Amazon's net income, right? And if you look at not their revenue, but their net income, although AWS is not a large portion, and AWS, if you don't know, is their Amazon, what does it stand for? It's their Amazon software as a service system. It's Amazon Web Services. I should have known that. Amazon Web Services. And that's if you host a website, if you host software, if you have data online, if you have logistics, supply chains, you need some sort of power, and their power and their servers are AWS, right? If you look at the net income portion of Amazon AWS revenue, it's almost 33%, the last time I checked, of their net income. Meaning, and it's a very small portion of their revenue, meaning it's high in gross margin. And that's very similar to FSD subscription. If Tesla launches a $290 FSD package, that is almost entirely profit for Tesla. Almost entirely profit, right? Because for every marginal user that they add for FSD, it doesn't cost them more to implement them into the system. So it's just straight up net income almost, right? And so the question here Rob is asking is Dojo related. And Dojo is not FSD subscription, but it's almost, FSD is like the first derivative of Dojo, if you want to call it that. Dojo is the supercomputer, AI, machine learning, encoding algorithm that it's essentially, it can have a million different uses. And right now, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And I think, in fact, there's a question about Dojo later here. But Rob is saying, could leasing out Dojo unlock an AWS-like business line for Tesla over the next few years? I think that's a great question. The second most voted question is from Rob again. The recent price changes on Solar Roof have been a bit discouraging for customers and investors. Yeah, so they doubled I think they doubled the roof prices for some of the people, even though they were in contract, which is savage. Could Tesla share more about roof challenges and outlooks as if they have changed at all, i.e. 1,000 per week? So this is more of, in my opinion, this is more of a trying to ease customer relations and PR. Emmett Peppers is asking, Master of Coin, can you tell us anything about Tesla's future plan in digital currency in space? or when such major developments might be revealed. Okay, interesting, cool. Does Tesla have any proactive plans to tackle mainstream media, imminent, massive, and deceptive clickbait headlines, campaigns on safety of autopilot and FSD, perhaps a specialty PR job of sort? I've been a big proponent of that. Is having some sort of department to tackle a lot of the FUD that's going to be coming out, because we know it is, right? Warren Redlick is asking here, you indicated Tesla would produce 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 battery cells in 2022. How many gigawatt hours cells do you expect to buy for suppliers in 2022? What do you expect a mix of supplier batteries to be between LFP, NM, NCA batteries, and other chemistry types? So interesting. So that's more battery related. I think that's good. After Berlin, Austin, when will you build the next factory and where would it be? Ooh, I wish that one gets answered. That'd be a good one. So, I mean, it's kind of, so there's 600,000 shares on this. There's 500,000 shares on this. So it's kind of like people with the biggest platform are going to be the ones that usually get their questions answered. On the institutional level, 42 million shares are behind this question. Proponents of alternative grid storage technologies claim that lithium ion is unsuited to long-term intraseasonal storage at scale due to vampire drain. Could 4680 address this limitation? Is the limitation even more relevant for changing the energy equation? Okay. What else is cool here? Nothing major. I mean, the level of questions that come from institutional investors are just boring. The institutional investors, and that's why they implemented Say as part of their technology for earnings, because institutions are just so boring. Looks like Tesla's fading off after hours, 720 at the moment. It just looks like people have front run the stock and now they need to sell a little bit to before earnings or whatever. So it is what it is. This is kind of what we expected, right? We didn't really expect a major chance that Tesla was going to bump up 10%. Tyler says company X could potentially dilute Tesla as well. Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Wall Street might not take it the best way. It's a good point. Dan says Warren wants the battery numbers so he can build his models. Yeah, absolutely. Warren is a mega Tesla bull. Like, I think his price target for someone's got to tell me what his price target is. It's like I want to say 20 grand for 2025 or something. I don't think we're going to 500. No, I don't think so. Remember, Tasha Keeney is going to be on Bloomberg soon here. That'll be fun. And yeah, I mean, if we pull up, there's nothing really, I think, FSD subscription, there's nothing really in the report, in the shareholders report talking about FSD subscription, at least that I saw. They do talk about version 9 of FSD, but nothing major there. You guys have seen the full self-driving videos, right? It's nuts. Awards 2025 is 14K. Okay. His optimistic bull case has Sanju is 343,000 in 2030. What would the market cap of Tesla be if it was 200? What is it? 343? Is that right? 343,000? 343,000? What would the market cap be if Tesla did? So there's nothing about FSD beta in here that we can see. We're down 3%. Yeah, I mean, we're sitting at 720. It's not like we're seeing a massive sell-off. I think last earnings, we were down about 5% after hours before the call. Well, I mean, a lot of people have just what triggers a sell if earnings are good. I mean, a lot of people have front run the stock institutional wise that might want to dump shares after hours. Maybe some people were betting for the off chance of them guiding at 1 million, and they didn't get that, so therefore they sell out. So there's a lot of reasons. But I mean, again, this is like battery day a little bit, right? And Tesla with big events is almost inevitably it's the day after that big event is almost inevitably disappointing for shorter term traders. But that's where a long term conviction is made. Battery day showed us that long term Tesla is the winner in EVs. There's no other winner, and if there is, they're not going to be the winner for the next 5 or 10 years, right? So, but if you look at the day after, you would think battery day would have been so terrible. So, someone's saying, we have to confirm this, but Tesla sold $272 million of Bitcoin in Q1, the gain of which has formed a part of restructuring an other expense line item, which was $101 million during Q1. So apparently that Bitcoin sale helped to offset some of the other negative one-time expenses. So do they explicitly state that, or how do we know that it went to restructuring? Thanks, Johnny. Just saw your comment there. You were ahead of the game. Thanks. It's on the report. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I mean, that's kind of smart. I mean, Tesla's selling, and maybe a couple of those little flash crashes of Bitcoin that we saw was Tesla selling out of their positions. I mean, that's a fairly sizable amount of Bitcoin, 272 million, especially in the middle of the night or something. Albert says, "RIP my leap." No, man. I mean, look at me. I have leaps, and not worried about my leap because long term this is good earnings, right? It's not bad earnings, and especially if you have leaps. So here's the thing with leaps, right? If you have a leap for the end of the year, let's say January 2022, you have Q2 earnings baked in, Q3 earnings baked in, and potentially speaking, depending on the date of your expiration, you might even have another Q4 earnings baked in for the third week of January in 2022. So when you have 3 earnings baked into your options pricing, one earnings play doesn't make or break your leap, really. So especially when IV percentile was so low. So IV percentile was sitting at 8%, 9% at close. Check this out. Sitting at 8%. I mean, if we go down to 1 or 2 IV percentile tomorrow, right? I mean, you're not going to see a massive crush. Now, if IV percentile, like it normally is at 60 or 70, and you've really overpaid for your leaps, you might see a massive crush, and you only have 1 earnings baked in. But if you have enough time, you have other earnings baked in. So, a December $1,000 leap. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on your conviction level as well, right? Like, as an investor, you have to make the prudent decision of, okay, well, Albert, I read, and this is you talking to yourself, I read the earnings report. Do I not believe in Tesla anymore? Is there something in there that troubles me? And you have to make that decision on your own, right? What troubles you may not trouble me. So if, and this is what I'm humbly suggesting, is that, if you think that there's nothing in your long-term conviction that's changed, and in fact, it's gotten even stronger of their competitive advantage and it's come to fruition, then then it is what it is. Let's check out CNBC here. Let's turn volume.
Why over in Shanghai? Our call's a little bit different. It's on the energy sector. I'd say it's, it would be a far cry to claim victory on these numbers in the quarter. Energy is, off of a very low base. And but what we do see here is an ecosystem that is building, and is that if they are able to open up capacity on the 4680 cell, how will they deploy that capacity? It's either going to be in vehicles or it's going to be in energy. And the latest, ad increases that we're seeing on the solar and energy side, that's where we think that they're going to have some success.
Hasn't that been the bull case all along on the battery side? What's changed that's led to your new view? And I wonder if the whole momentum around the stock has changed. I think it's flat so far this year after last year's tremendous run-up.
I think if you go back a couple of years, I think talking about Tesla is more of an energy story, or a utility and energy provider. That's not a new phenomenon. But I would point out that most of the bullish expectations on Wall Street are in full self-driving, robo-taxis. It's not on the energy side. Energy expectations are relatively low. So we've come out with, more bullish. We're double that of the street in 2025 at 8 billion. We do think that that's not being fully recognized and understood in the model. It's going to take some time for that one to manifest, though. And I do think that Elon has some explaining to do in terms of, a couple important points, both on the auto as well as the energy on today's call.
Jed, I know you look at the fundamentals. You'll be listening to the call on guidance and all sorts of factors. How much of a problem is it, though, that the stock has plateaued, give or take, since the start of the year, following such a big rise last year, and the fact that some investors might just lose faith because they bought in when it was a gold rush, and now it ceased to be that, or seemingly has ceased to be that for a few months, that they might just lose faith?
Yeah, I mean, listen, stocks never go straight up. And if they do, that's problematic. I don't see that as, at least from a fundamental perspective, you might, if it gives a little bit back, we kind of look at that as a great opportunity. If you buy into the thesis and you start seeing the data points that support that, you're building a mosaic on something bigger and longer term. So I don't necessarily see that as a break on a frothy market that looks like the entire market is kind of stalling out a little bit. So that doesn't bother us.
Now down 2.5% almost after hours ahead of the call. Jed Dorsheimer, thank you for joining us from Canaccord Genuity. And up next, is fake meat losing its bite? We told you we were going to do this story, and we do have new data on the food fad that has been on Wall Street's mind ever since Beyond Meat.
CNBS. That was Canaccord coming on talking about Tesla. Nothing new really to report there. I mean, it's interesting that he said Tesla is an energy play to him, which I think makes sense. Tesla's all about the battery game. That's really like the biggest thing. Execution about the battery. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate that. Johnny's saying thanks for an awesome live stream. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching, y'all. Hit the like, if you're enjoying what we're talking about. We're gonna be hanging out here, so it's just agenda talking. If you're new, if you're listening and you have no idea what's happening, Tesla's reporting earnings in 45 minutes. In 15 minutes, though, in actually 10 minutes almost, Tasha Keeney of ARK Invest is going to be live on Bloomberg TV, and we're going to be streaming that as she comes up. So that should be really exciting and fun to see how she looks at the earnings report. Price target for tomorrow. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's a typical Tesla post earnings, right? It's a nonchalant non-event, general fade off. So to be determined. I mean, the earnings call with Elon is going to be somewhat telling, right? Potentially Elon could talk about something that investors like, and we've seen it happen. It happens all the time. Stock doesn't move after hours on the report. The CEO comes on, they say something that guides different, or the market doesn't like, or the market really likes, and the stock proceeds to shoot up from there. So yeah, a lot can happen. Also, that being said, Elon is not known to say much different on on the live stream, really. So we'll see. Next week, though, Rocket is just being fueled. Yeah, I mean, with guys, like, this is quarter one. Quarter one is not supposed to be an amazing quarter for autos, and the fact that Tesla hit record revenue and deliveries and profit is just nuts. Or non-GAAP earnings per share, at least. So it's exciting, to say the least. And so Giga Texas is moving so fast. Giga Texas is moving crazy fast. So Amazon is also killing it. So you guys are saying Amazon is going to do a split. Amazon is up 2% on the day to 3,400. If Amazon does a split, I think it's at $4,000 soon, like really fast. We'll see, but I like Amazon. It's just too expensive to trade, So yeah, I mean, to be determined. Let's see here. What else is new on Twitter? So Tasha Keeney is coming up in 15 minutes. That'll be fun. Gary Black, nothing new on Gary Black. For those asking. Do Amazon spreads? Yash, says Anthony. Yeah, I mean, definitely possible. Those fills are just so bad on Amazon. They're just, if you look at the Amazon option pricing, it's just so wide. It's reminds me of Priceline.com back in the day. Let's see here. Like there's a $200 bid-ask spread here, and that's like pretty much not very far away from at the money. And at the money, we have about another $300 bid-ask spread there. And if I do a spread, I'm gonna get screwed on both sides. But I guess I could put in a bid lower and run that. But yeah, it's just tough to play this when I can play Tesla as well. But if Amazon does a split, if they, for example, do a 10-to-1 split, and they're now going to be worth $340, the amount of volume that's going to be coming into stuff like Amazon is going to be crazy. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Tesla type pop in the month preceding the split, just like we saw with Tesla. Remember, Tesla announced the stock split and proceeded to go up to $1,500 to $2,000. Yeah, it's nuts. Price movement appears to be horizontal for some time below 275. 275. I'm not sure which stock you're talking about there. But yeah, so Tesla's sitting at 720 at the moment. It looks like it's just going to stick around here. Guys, I mean, we closed at 738. It's 720. I mean, what's $18 to Tesla as a stock price? That's an hour of trading on heavy volume. It's nothing. So for all intents and purposes, you could say we're down after hours. I just consider it we're pretty much close to flattish, and it's going to be determined to see what happens during the earning call. So it's exciting. I mean, we might get an update on Company X, might get an update on Bitcoin purchases and what their plan is with crypto. Might get an update on FSD subscription, the pricing around FSD subscription. Someone should have actually posted that as a question, but I guess that's more of a shorter term thing, anyways. So being able to know what price Tesla is going to want their monthly subscription to be at is going to be super cool. My guess is, let me know what you guys' guess is, but I think about $250 a month. A Cybertruck says call in update tonight. I hope so. We haven't heard about Cybertruck in a while. Yeah. So bag holding 800. Are you talking about bag holding shares at 800? I mean, here's the thing. If you meant 775. If you have shares and you believe in the stock, dips are your friend. I know, I get it. We've had a million dips in the last little bit. No one wants to be told that. But I mean, if you hold shares and you have a long-term conviction, it's like buying your principal residence, right? As a realtor, I always say, like, it's, you can build equity or you can rent. Either way works for different people. But if you hold shares, you have to have a longer term time horizon. Just like when you buy your principal residence, your home. You can't buy a home to time it for 6 months and expect to always make money, right? But if you have a 5 to 10 year time horizon with your principal residence, you're going to build enough equity. You're going to give enough time for the markets to sort themselves out. So in the long term, especially in a company that you believe in, that's the way I look at it, right? Yes, Tesla did sell some Bitcoin. Yep. Cybertruck is the key to Tesla's future success. I can't disagree with you there. I think Cybertruck, actually, I tweeted this last month or in January, actually, saying that the day that I see like a live in the wild Cybertruck here in Vancouver, Canada, is going to be a day that a lot of people will actually consider investing in Tesla, right? Because I almost think there's a subsegment of the investor group out there that don't believe in Tesla because they don't have some sort of a pickup truck, right? They consider it like just like glorified electric golf carts, essentially. And I think the Cybertruck is going to change that narrative. So to be determined. It looks like we're rebounding here a little bit. 722 at the moment on the stock. Tasha Keeney is coming up in the next 5 minutes here on Bloomberg, so keep an eye out on that.
China's.
So that'll be exciting. And then earnings are in half an hour. Any questions? Leave any questions in the chat. Anything we want to talk about in the time that we have here to kill before earnings. I figured it'd be easier if we just stayed live the entire time instead of us doing a two-parter. By the way, thanks for all of the new Hit That Bid family members joining in and subscribing and hitting the like. I wish you guys' name would pop up, but Streamlabs sucks. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But up to 7.88 thousand subscribers. Love it. Are you going to be streaming the earnings? Yes, Mateus, we are going to be streaming the earnings, and I'll be shutting up for when Elon is talking. Do I have a Cybertruck reservation? No, but I wish I had. I wish I had one, but we bought a Model 3, so yeah. Cybertruck. Looking back, I wish I waited for the Cybertruck, but in all honesty, I'd probably be waiting another 2 years for it. At what month will level 5 FSD become available? Dan, I don't know. I don't. Let's just say I don't think it'll be this year, even though I know Elon said that last year. I'd be surprised if it's this year. Maybe sometime, I'll throw something out there. 2023, maybe we'll have level 4.5. Because level 5, in some areas you might have level 5. Like I think in San Francisco and LA, FSD beta is pretty damn good. But I think the true definition of level 5 is you throw the car anywhere in the world, it will get around, right? Am I going to be streaming Tasha on Bloomberg? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. She's not here yet. Don't worry. Do I think Tesla will bounce back up? I think so. I think it'll be a strong week, my guess. Johnny says, do you get an AC charger already, or do you keep going to the superchargers? I live in an apartment, so we don't have plugs. I mean, we have plugs. I could ask the Strata for it, but I just go to the superchargers. I have 1 year free supercharging. So if you ever want to meet me, go to the Richmond supercharger. You'll see me there often. What's your take on AI Day? Oh, Tranth, great question. What's your take on AI Day? Will it affect the stock price? I think AI Day is going to be another one of those nerdy days that really speaks to the future long-term conviction of the stock price, but that Wall Street bros will overlook and not be able to capitalize on. I think it'll be Battery Day 2.0 with less hype, is my guess. But if you know enough about... Oh shit, you've reached your free live limit for Bloomberg today. Huh, okay. Well, I'll try to find a stream for Bloomberg. That's my guess. See here. Do you think the stock price will cross $800 before July? My guess is yes. My guess is yes. Except, yeah, I think I can pull up Bloomberg in an incognito. If Tesla can deliver their own parts with the semi, would the stock grow up? I think the problem with the semi is not the parts. I think it's the battery. It's the battery capacity limit, right? If Tesla could produce unlimited battery tech, yeah, we got no issues. But the problem is that Tesla is not being able to produce. They're battery constrained at the moment. That's the major problem with semi. So when they come out and they say we're going to be delivering more semis this year, that's an it's an indication to the market. That's an indication to the market that they're going to be not battery constrained moving forward. That's the thing here. I'm going to try to pull up. Let's see here. Live. Here. What price do you think Tesla will open tomorrow? My guess is going to be 7. My guess will be Tesla opens at 7:30. My guess. I used to charge my Fiat E by running a hefty extension cord out the window on the street. That's awesome. I love that. Hey, David, thanks for the super chat. Holding 20 times 1100 September at $34 roughly cost, roughly down 25% at the moment. What are your thoughts? Keep up the great work, by the way. Appreciate that, David. My thoughts are I'm with you. I had a very close entry point with you on those, and I have 1100 strike September as well. So My thoughts is that I'm in it with you on those. So that's my thoughts on that. Okay, so I found a Bloomberg illegal stream because apparently I capped out. Bloomberg only gives you, so many minutes of their free whatever. So I found a stream here. So let's take a look here. Here, just make. If only Thinkorswim gave me a Bloomberg TV. They give me a CNBS TV, so we'll see. Miss Toot says max pain this week is 725. Okay. All right. Take a look. Here. Bloomberg Live should be on YouTube as well. Really? Okay. Someone got a link? Bloomberg Live. Okay. Is that the same stream though? Oh yeah, it should be. Okay, thank you. Thank you, got it. So that's good. Alrighty, so let's pull up. It looks like Tasha Keeney should be live here any second. I'm gonna pull up the channel. Here it goes. We'll keep that up as we talk. Yeah, strange. I mean, Tesla, we did see that massive tick. If you look at if you look right here, we saw that massive pump up to 738 for a hot second. So there it is. So 723 on that. So something to keep in mind in there. Let's take a look. So here is.
Plus, Apple doubles down on the US, pledging a $430 billion investment to create tens of thousands of jobs and open its first East Coast campus. Pretty political statement as it touts its tax payments. We'll have the details. And Lyft backs up. The company puts its autonomous driving research unit into reverse, selling it to Toyota in a $550 million deal. These stories in a moment. But first, of course, U.S. stocks rising once again to all-time highs.
All right, we'll keep that ready. I just want to listen to Tasha Keeney when she comes on to Bloomberg. So that's let's see here. Not Tasha Keeney yet, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, stock prices. So we're at 724 at the moment. Essentially, for all intents and purposes, pretty much flat on the day. Market makers are killing us on premium. Absolutely, that's what they do. That is what they do. Bruce, wow, I didn't know you were Canadian. Yes, indeed, I am Canadian. Apparently, you guys can tell from the accent, is what I've been told. And I'm on team PayPal. The way you say PayPal is team PayPal. I know a lot of people were fighting with me on our chat group, saying it's PayPal. I don't see how that's true. It's PayPal. I've been saying it since I was a kid. I'm not changing it now. Okay. So actually, this actually pulled up right here. So let's look. Close that. And NVIDIA as well. That's right, Tyler. Okay, so what we'll do here is we will pause this one and I will pull up the proper feed on incognito. Thank you for letting me know that that's possible. Let's up. Add window. PayPal or he'll be pissed. Don't worry, I won't be pissed. I just know what's right, you know? Okay, let's pull. Browser. Stay tuned here, folks. Let's so we can get Tasha Keeney on here. Oh, actually, I don't even need to. It's right here. Okay, we're good. We're good. Thanks for the help. Okay, so we're waiting. Tesla's earnings call should be coming up very shortly here. And looks like they're talking about Tesla now. Let me just go live.
Tesla's, of course, the hot story right now, up 1.2% in regular trading, down after hours, even though, Caroline, they actually did beat those estimates. So why are they dropping? Well, traders on the floor are really saying that this has to do with options pricing. This also has to do with the fact that perhaps that beat wasn't as big as some of them were expecting.
Kriti, I love it. I also love the brandishing of the vaccine band-aid as well. Wear it with pride. Thank you very much indeed. Katie Greifeld and Kriti Gupta setting us up nicely to just dive a little bit deeper into Tesla's first quarter earnings. Bringing in, of course, now Tasha Keeney.
Hey, Tasha's in.
Of ARK Invest, Tesla, top holding in the firm's ARK fund. And you caught everyone's attention, Tasha, of course, a little bit earlier in the year with your view on where Tesla's price target will go to 3,000 as your general case by 2025. What did you hear today that excited you?
Well, I'm most excited about Tesla's opportunity in autonomous driving. And what we saw in this most recent release is that, they do plan on releasing the FSD full self-driving beta version of their city streets autonomy software to more customers soon. Tesla also mentioned that they're realizing that with their new vision system, that radar is becoming unnecessary sooner than expected. So I think, this has been a long time coming. Tesla has the largest deployment of robots in the world. If you think of each car as a robot collecting information. And I think now, as we're seeing autonomous vehicles commercialized for the first time, Waymo was first commercialized in the US. I think Tesla is a real player to watch here with their scale and data advantage.
Is it bullish or not when you hear then of like a Lyft getting out of that and selling on to Toyota?
I wasn't too surprised to hear that. We've seen a lot of shuffling in this space. Most recently, GM also acquired a company called Voyage, and they had acted as if they were close to commercializing, and an acquisition would seem to say that maybe they're not so close if they have to integrate new technology and a whole new team into their team. I think this is a really tough problem to solve. And I don't think every company is going to be successful. In fact, we think the auto industry is going to consolidate significantly over the next decade as we see the shift to both autonomy and electric vehicles. So I think you'll continue to see more shakeups, and really whoever launches and gets to scale soon will have an advantage in this space.
Of course, there are plenty of other reasons as the thesis of the valuation and the view that you think it's going to get to an annual revenue of $700 billion. There's its capital efficiency, its insurance business. Where, therefore, do you think its capital efficiency is going at the moment? What did you make of, how its cash placement is, what it's doing with Bitcoin, how it's driving, down the costs of making each car?
Yes, we've done a lot of work on this space. So my partner analyst, Sam Forrest, has modeled the cost decline of electric vehicle batteries using Wright's Law. And so Wright's Law says that for every cumulative doubling in production, you get a corresponding reduction in demand. If you use Wright's Law to model Tesla's cost decline, you'll see that, as we saw them announce at Battery Day with the $25,000 car they expect to produce over the next few years, that electric vehicles are really reaching price parity with gas-powered cars. And that's going to cause a very important inflection in demand. So the total cost of ownership of an EV is already lower than a gas-powered car, but now the sticker price is going to be lower, and that's really what consumers look to. So we think electric vehicles are the future, and we're really just in the early innings of this. Tesla in their release pointed out that 97% of cars out there today, gas-powered cars, and actually 98% of their trade-ins are gas-powered cars as well. On the capital efficiency side, one thing that we changed in our most recent price target is we actually think that they could be more capital efficient than we were previously given them credit for. And that's as we've seen them build out production in Shanghai and sort of across the globe. We've seen that they actually can lower that cost per car a little bit more than we had initially anticipated. But again, that larger story is really that long-term cost decline curve with electric vehicles that we've done some work on.
Yeah, certainly they've been talking plenty about the cost. The average cost per vehicle across its model line was $84,000 back in 2017, and now it's only 38,000. So we see that movement. I'm interested in the overall competitive landscape, though, because you say this is like sort of a seismic shift we're seeing in the whole view on electric vehicles. Is there a worry, though, that with GM, with Volkswagen, they too can drive down the cost of electric vehicles, and we're basically at peak market share for the likes of Tesla?
Yes, actually, and that's an important part of our thesis, that we think that other players will enter the market with competitive electric vehicles. In our model, we don't expect Tesla to take more than 20-some% share of each segment that they enter in the vehicle space. We expect other automakers to come in there. But what we have seen is that Tesla is still much further ahead on performance and price. If you model those two, Sam Corris, my partner analyst, has done some work looking at the charge rate versus cost. And if you look at Tesla's lineup, other automakers, may be able to match performance, but they're doing that by producing a very expensive car. Tesla's the only one who's able to produce a very high performance and relative to competitors, an expensive vehicle. So we think they're still at least 3 years ahead of the competition. But that said, we do see a lot of uptake, especially of the smaller electric vehicles in China, for instance. Electric vehicles are going to happen, across the globe. And it's not just going to be passenger cars, by the way. We think it's going to be machinery. We think we've done some work on electric semi-trucks that could actually be cost competitive to rail. Electric vehicles are really the future everywhere. And we expect many companies to participate. But again, not everyone will be successful. There will likely be some consolidation in the space.
You're, of course, a long-term holder, Tasha, to a large extent, in terms of your thesis is a longer-term perspective. But when you're seeing the share price, not moving that volatile right now, off by 1.8% in after-hours trading, in the market, the options pricing, we're seeing swings of anywhere up to 7%. But do you think the market just had anticipated all the good news and we needed more in terms of a blowout for real performance today?
That's a possibility. I would say that when you look at Tesla as a stock, you really should look to the long term. So, we take these earnings periods as time to learn more about the company, of course, listen to the calls, get more details on things like the autopilot updates that are very exciting that they're enabling. But overall, I think, Tesla is an innovation story. So at ARK, we invest in disruptive innovation, and we have a 5-year time horizon on all of our investments. So I think when you look at disruptive innovation, things can change really quickly. You see that with exponential growth. So you really want to look at it over a longer term horizon. So I think there could be some immediate reaction to this news tonight. But I would say that we are certainly keeping in term we are certainly looking for the longer term picture here, that 5-year picture for both autonomy and electric vehicles.
And with a bull case of $4,000 per share and potentially $4 trillion market cap, quite phenomenal set of research. Tasha Keeney, it's great to get some time with you on a day when we have Tesla's earnings. Thank you so much, from ARK Investment, of course. Now,
Tasha's awesome. Tasha is great. So basically what she's saying is that obviously all the right things, that, we're focused on the long term, don't really care about much. Tesla is continuing to be the #1 car maker in AI, in full self-driving. So this Lyft news of Lyft selling its full self-driving subdivision to Toyota is, I guess, further proof that this is not going to be an easy industry for any company to come in on. And as Tasha talked there, it looks like the stock price has come back up a little bit, $5 from the lows, or $10 from the lows, $7.25 at the moment. Remember, we closed at $7.38. So it's interesting. Remember, with ARK Invest, if I pull up their price target, their expected value of Tesla in 2025 is $3,000. It's $3,000. Their bear case is $1,500. Like, their worst case in their eyes is $1,500, and their bull case is $4,000. So, this has a lot to do with autonomous full self-driving. Again, if you know me and my thoughts on this channel, I am extremely bullish on Tesla full self-driving, but what I'm not bullish on is regulatory approval. And I think we've seen that massively this week with all of the FUD. I think it's sad, but it's true that big money can fund FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It can fund articles that come out. It can fund, stuff that will delay the inevitable for sure. Yes, Elon is talking. Elon is going to be talking at 2:30 Pacific, so in about 15 minutes, and I'll line that up. All good. So yeah, but what she does say that's very true is the cost of the batteries is ultra low at the moment, which is great to see. CNBS is actually talking about stuff right now. Let's see if they have anything interesting to add.
The smart move. I've actually been out of any of the ride-sharing, companies. After looking at it from a year back, it looks, or from IPO, it looks smart. They're down about 20% lifted. But if you're looking at it from the year time frame, as Dan mentioned, the reopening trade, it's up, pretty handedly there. But I think, the biggest thing, these companies are really price sensitive, margins, profitability, the bottom line. And this is something that has to be really played to when you think about it as an investor standpoint. So that's the reason why I stayed out. I think it's an area where it's super competitive, as mentioned, and that lends to possibly price wars when you're talking about getting the drivers out onto the road, and just the pie is split in many different ways that for investors you want to really watch those numbers. And so for that reason, I've kind of been sitting on the sidelines when it came to Lyft.
All right, coming up, we're counting down to Tesla's conference call. Kicks off in just moments. We will be on it. We'll tell you what Elon Musk is saying about the quarter. But first, we've got another earnings alert for you. NXP Semi on the move after its report. We'll break down the after-hours action in that name. Plus, check out the move in shares of GameStop. The stock is rallying after market. We'll tell you why. Stay with us. Much more Fast Money in 2.
GameStop's rallying again. Jeez. So whenever, I mean, just a rule of thumb here, right? Whenever GameStop is rallying, that's usually a bad indicator for the market, right? That usually means the market is about to go down. That's what it's been, is when GameStop starts to rally, investors start to get scared. I'm not sure if it's because investors continue to short premium on GameStop or whatever it is, but man, GameStop's rallying up to $200. So I'm not sure if you guys are bag holding GameStop, but there you go. We'll be streaming earnings live when it starts. Exactly. Yep. Thanks, Tyler, for the reiteration and for everyone asking. Yeah. So we have 15 minutes left there. I'll pull up on Chrome to show you. So this is straight from Tesla IR. So we will be seeing the earnings call posted in here. So we do have some time left on the earnings call. 10 minutes till the earnings call. So what can Elon say that would potentially move the stock price is the question. And I think outside of reiterating anything, I think updates on full self-driving will be telling as to what the subscription price might be, as to when they expect level 5, although I don't think the market is really going to care. I think generally speaking right now, the reason why the market hasn't rallied to the degree that we thought it would rally on a huge beat, like Gary Black says, a portion of it could be potentially because the market just does the math and says, okay, if Tesla did not have these regulatory credits, then they would not be profitable, or they would be, flat. And I mean, last time I checked, money is money. If you're making money, you're making money. I don't know why it's an excuse that, they take advantage of other ICE manufacturers and have to, and they can sell them credits. But that's a different story. I think as soon as Tesla starts posting profits in quarter 2, 3, and especially 4, X credits, their net income is highly profitable. Watch out. So production target, says Mellow Yellow. Well, they said they're guiding for at least they're expecting a greater than 50% growth this year, which is reiterating what they said in quarter 1. So nothing new in terms of guidance there. Melio says, I think your living in Vancouver has skewed your super bullish regulatory views. I think super bearish regulatory views is probably the best way to put it. I don't believe in government passing things on time. I don't believe in government doing the right thing all the time. I think they need their arms twisted, and it's almost bearish is what I'm bearish on government. Okay, it's the easiest way to put it. So Cybertruck unlikely in 2021. I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they get some Cybertrucks out from Texas this year, but definitely not in scale. Look at GME after hours. I know GME's up crazy, Dan. It's nuts. Yeah. Europe's huge, like, right? So Berlin coming up is huge because there's so much demand in Europe that they can't fill at the moment, or they have to ship cars, which increases their costs, right? So Tesla is bigger than Toyota. If I just understood why, says Rolf. I think you mean in market cap and you're not sure why, right? Well, because remember, Tesla is kind of like the Amazon story in terms of growth. When you're buying Tesla at this market cap price, you're not buying it because you think it's that value today. You're buying it based on extreme growth target updates, and you're discounting them back to today. So whereas Toyota and Ford and GM, these are what we call value stocks, right? You're basing them on today's profit, loss, dividend, whatever it is. Those are value stocks. These are growth stocks. So they're valued a little bit differently. Whether or not you believe in that, up to you. But you know, that hopefully that answers some of your questions there. Mike, welcome, Mike. My Tesla with the new Gigafactories can only move up from here regardless of FUD or GME. Yeah, very true. I mean, next year when we have Fremont, Texas, Berlin, all running, maybe and Shanghai all running full capacity, watch out. Like, there's no way. I'd love to know what you guys think next year's delivery numbers will be. If I know a lot of you guys believe they might hit 1 million this year, which, you know, is to be determined. But if they hit 1 million this year, that means they'd be on track for 2 million next year. That's crazy, right? But man, would that be a sight to see everyone biting their tongue on what they said before. Marco says, yes, waiting for Berlin to open. Absolutely, yeah. And I think once Berlin's open as well, the cost of cars in Europe should go down as well. Tyler thinks 2.2 million vehicles in 2022. That would be nuts. So if they did 1 million this year and then they did 2.2 in 50% that would be higher than 50% growth. Yeah, that's crazy. Would be I mean, 1 million vehicles in 2021 would be 100% growth year over year in vehicle delivery. That's nuts. That's unheard of. Besides being a Wall Street bets degenerate, why do you think some people keep buying weekly options on earnings week with an incredibly high strike price? I mean, it's you know, I do it. Everyone does it. I think you've answered your question right there. I think people are looking for that Netflix type of reaction or that GME type of spike, right? Because that one time, like, for example, I'll tell you, I think it was Q3, I had my Zoom short-term options position filled or not filled. It's sitting in my orders. I think the calls were going for like $7. Don't quote me. I don't remember exactly what it was. 7 something. And I had a bunch of them in order to buy for Zoom earnings. And this was before, maybe this was even Q2. And I didn't get filled. I had a minute left. You know, my fill was like 20 cents away. I was like, if I get filled, I get filled. I'm more of a, you know, I'm pretty chill when I come to trading and investing. I don't try to chase stuff too much. I've learned by getting burnt a lot. And I did get filled by like 10 or 20 cents. And those $7, so those $700 contracts, I think the next day were like $50. So $5,000 each. And I think when that happens, people will remember those times. They're like, oh shit, if I'd bought in these extremely far at the money weekly calls for earnings, I could have made bank, right? And I think those times kind of get us excited a little bit, right? So for better or for worse, that's kind of what happens, in my opinion. 100% growth year over year would be nuts. I mean, it's almost like Elon is saying, okay, 100% growth is crazy because he's saying 50% or more. It's not like he's saying considerably higher. He's saying that we're going to average around 50% growth, which to average around 50% growth, if you grew 100% year over year 1 year and you got 50% the following year, your average would be 75. So I'm not sure how you have a year of 100% growth and then you still average to 50 in the next couple of years. So let's put again. So we got 5 minutes to earnings, folks. 5 minutes to earnings. Shanghai capacity should be 1 million next year. Wow. Is that right, studio? 1 million? Conference link available. Yep. Don't worry, I've got it all lined up here. We're just gonna wait 5 more minutes until this pops up. I've muted the page because I remember, if you guys remember last time, we had Apple earnings happening right after market close, and we had the most boring CFO. No offense to the CFO at Apple, and they played like 30 seconds of like this jazz classical music, and my video got demonetized for that 5 seconds. So I'm gonna I've muted this until we get some Gene Munster on CNBS. Okay, pull it up. Thank you, Gage. Was that Gage? Okay, CNBS is on break for me at the moment, so hopefully coming up. I will pop that up if Gene Munster comes on CNBS here. Model 2 will move it. Okay, so Model 2 is nuts, right? And let me know in the chat if you don't have a Tesla vehicle right now, and if Tesla releases a $20,000 car, will you buy that car? Let me know. And only answer if you don't own a Tesla vehicle right now. Would you buy that? Or would you still not buy that because you're happy with your current car? Because John says yes. I think the Model 2, and this is not a hot take, this is not a revolutionary take, but I think the Model 2 is really, I mean, I was hoping the Model 3 is what makes Tesla mainstream, and it kind of has. But I think John's saying yes, Steve, no sir, Clarence, everyone's saying yes. If Cybertruck takes too long, I'll take the Model 2. It depends on the range. Oh, interesting, Colin. Yes, yes. Tyler says I'll buy more than one. Yep. Boil down AH. Why does everyone say CNBS instead of CNBC? I get it's an insult of some kind, but I can't figure out the acronym. Boil, it's so if you watch Solving the Money Problem, good YouTube channel, Steve Mark Run, he has kind of funnily said offhand a couple times, CNBC is so fraud and FUD driven that let's just call it CN bullshit. That's what it is. So hopefully I filled you in there. Yes, we'll buy a Plaid Plus Model 2 for sure. So Martin says I have a bicycle. Respect to you, Martin. Respect to you. I'm a big biker too. $25,000 car, $10,000 credit in the States. That would be huge. That would be nuts. Absolutely true. Absolutely nuts. Yes, I'm waiting for, James says I'm waiting for the 25,000 vehicle. So for everyone here saying that they'd buy, yes, exactly. So for everyone here saying that they're going to buy the Model 2, remember, we're Tesla bulls or interested in Tesla. For our friends and family now, think about it. From their perspective, I would think it's almost like, why would you buy a Toyota Camry? And I think ARK Invest uses that as an example. Why buy a Toyota Camry for the same price or for more of a price than you could buy a Tesla Model 2? And again, like Colin says, it depends on the range, right? But I think if it was like 280 miles, or, I don't really know miles too much. I know my car is 420 kilometers in range. Sorry, let's do miles. It's 260 miles. So let's say if the Model 2 was 230 miles. So if you had a car that was 370 miles range, supercharging, by the way, is about half an hour. So you don't really need to stress on long-term trips there. A 370 kilometer Model 2 car, I would think that's kind of a no-brainer, especially at the price point. Like if you have a $25,000 car and you have a $10,000 credit, 15 grand. It's 15 grand. Okay, so live stream is coming up here. Pull this up. Oh shit, not this freaking classical music again. Got me demonetized last time. Can you believe someone demonetized me for like half a second of classical music? Guys got me again. God damn it. I think Model 2 first in China in 2022, then Europe in 2023. Yeah, it's entirely possible, Frederick, that the Model 2 happens in China first. Absolutely. Very true. Because from what I've heard as well is that the Model 2 is going to be designed in China for Shanghai. I think one thing that Elon was saying that I think is overlooked often is that he says that cars will be designed for the continents and the countries that they're supposed to be made in. So Berlin, he said this, is going to have its own type of Model 2. or Model 3 or Model 4. Sorry, I don't know why we call it Model 2. I don't even think we should call it Model 2. If anything, we should call it Model 4. It's a different argument. But I think if you look at Shanghai, I think they're going to have their own type of $25,000 car. Berlin might look slightly different. North America might be entirely different. Like Cybertruck in Berlin, I'm not sure. I think the European regulations around how big a car can be, I think the Cybertruck might be too big for it. I know in the States, you'll often see cars a lot bigger than even here in Canada. But I think we have very similar type of regulations. But I think in Europe, in smaller cities in Europe, you know, some of the streets are tiny. I don't know how you drive a Cybertruck through that. Oh, $15,000 new car equals ICE industry's end. Oh, absolutely, 100%. I got framed by a Beethoven. I did, man. It sucks. Jeez, freaking Beethoven coming here taking my $5 worth of monetization money and demonetizing my stuff. By the way, I appreciate everyone watching here. We're up to subscribers. Are we at? It's a vanity metric, but we're almost at 7.9. We're 8 subscribers away from 7.9 thousand subscribers, which is unbelievable. So if you haven't already, consider hitting the subscribe if you care enough. If you're liking the content. That starts in a couple minutes. Yeah. Here, let me just pause the sound here and let's audio output, audio input. Still nothing happening there. Just sub. Thanks. Thanks, Global Main. Appreciate that. False alarm. Exactly. I muted myself. Yeah, I try to mute myself on I don't want this music to come through. Cybertruck has smaller dimensions than the Ford F-150, so size should be a non-factor when comparing apples to apples. I heard, so that might have been like they might have made changes on that, John. I'm not sure if they did or not because I think originally it was bigger. But that's good. All right. Good. We're almost there, folks. A couple of seconds away here from the earnings report. Starting now. All right, let's check it out. We'll play it now. Not yet, but I'll have it on very slight. I'll have it on very slight volume until the Beethoven stuff comes through. Almost there. A couple seconds away, probably here. David says, do I have to prove I have shares / link my account to watch the stream directly on Say? The stream, I'm not sure if it's directly on Say, but yes, you will have to have shares to vote on Say. So watch the earnings call. It's free for anyone to do. Yeah, free to anyone. The stock price, by the way, before we say that earnings, what I'll do is I'll make the earnings call smaller because it's audio only. And what we'll do is we'll have the stock price up here as well. So, because I know we want to see what sort of reaction the stock price is getting from what's being said. I'll make the stock price a little bit bigger on the upper section here. The earnings is just a black screen. I guess I can have it up, but you know, not sure if we really even need it. But yeah, so there we go. There we go. And let me just check. Oh, still playing music here. So any second now, we should probably start. Tyler says Elon Musk said that they used the Ford F-150 as the benchmark and all specs should meet or exceed the Fords. Oh, nice. Okay. Here it says that's not Beethoven. That's blasphemy. Absolutely. Hey, I'm a big Beethoven guy. I don't know. Studio says whatever the $25,000 car is, they'll sandbag it to avoid Osborne and other lines. Oh, yeah. The Osborne effect is definitely real, but I think they've done a good job during Battery Day to not signal it too hard. But I did get a feeling that during Battery Day, I had my order in for the Model 3. Or no, did I? I was considering it, but I didn't put my order in that, I don't think, at that point. And listening to Battery Day almost made me want to delay my order of the Model 3. So I think they had, I think they were careful of that, definitely. No, still playing Beethoven. Like, here's the thing, folks. Tesla. if Martin, head of IR, you're listening, at least play non-copyrighted music for people like us, right? Like I want to listen to the classical music with all of you guys tuning in right now, but man, like you guys are eating into the copyright. Harry says stock should go green after the conference call. Let's see. Let's hope so. So let's see here. Any second now we should be. It's Van Halen. I'll take your word for it. Johnny says, which one did you get, Yashin? Which interior? I got the black Model 3 regular black interior. Just the regular one. I can pull it up. Essentially this one. You know what I should, what the hell? This is a BMW. I think I don't want to delay myself too much. I think the earnings call is coming up. Not this one. This is a stainless steel. This one right here. This is a YouTube video, so that doesn't help anyone. This one right here. Okay, so let's go back to Tesla earnings. Where are you at? Plays the music. Still playing Van Halen. You can trade in your Tesla anytime for the perfect price. You know what, Marco? I'm not sure if I'm going to get a great price on the Tesla, considering, like, right after we got the Model 3, I was like, shit, we should have bought the Model Y Standard Range Plus, because they didn't have the Standard Range Plus. Back then, they only had the long range, and then they came out with the Standard Range. And it would have only netted us about $5,000 more. And then, like, what I've come to realize is, like, I, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I could have done a million different things. I got to be happy and grateful for what I have. I got to stop complaining about, could have had this shit. It's such a first world thing for me to complain about. But yeah. Looks like my battery died here. I'm just going to change my batteries out. 1 sec. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Or is that a subscription? Can't even tell. All right, Tesla earnings, let's go. Just changing batteries here, sorry folks. Okay, is the audio on?
Tesla first quarter 2021 results and Q&A website. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the presentation, there will be a question and answer session. Please be advised that today's conference is being recorded. If you require any further assistance, please press *0. I will now hand the conference over to your speaker today, Martin Vieca, Senior Director of Investor Relations.
Thank you, Carmen, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tesla's first quarter 2021 Q&A webcast. I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Zachary Kirkhorn, and a number of other executives. Our Q1 results were announced at about 1 p.m. Pacific time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please press *1 now if you would like to join the question queue. But before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Great, thank you. So Q1 2021 was a record quarter on many levels. Tesla achieved record production, deliveries, and surpassed $1 billion in non-GAAP net income for the first time. And we've seen a real shift in customer perception of electric vehicles, and our demand is the best we've ever seen. So this is, we're used to seeing a reduction in demand in the first quarter, and we saw an increase in demand. That exceeded the normal seasonal reduction in demand in Q1. Model 3 became the best-selling mid-size premium sedan in the world. In fact, I should say the best-selling luxury sedan of any kind in the world. The BMW 3 Series was for the longest time the best-selling premium sedan. It's been exceeded by the Tesla Model 3. And this is only 3.5 years into production and with just 2 factories. For Model 3 to be outselling its combustion engine competitors, I think is quite remarkable. In the past couple of quarters, we delivered roughly 250,000 Model 3s, so which translates to an annualized rate of 500,000 per year. When it comes to Model Y, we think Model Y will be the best-selling car or vehicle of any kind in the world, and probably next year. So I'm not 100% certain next year, but I think it's quite likely. I'd say more likely than not that in 2022, Model Y is the best-selling car or truck of any kind in the world. Then, with regard to full self-driving beta continues to make great progress. But this is definitely one of the hardest technical problems that exists, that's maybe ever existed. And really, in order to solve it, we basically need to solve a pretty significant part of artificial intelligence, specifically real-world artificial intelligence. And that sort of AI, the neural nets need to be compressed into a fairly small computer, a very efficient computer that we've designed, but nonetheless, a small computer that's using on the order of 70 or 80 watts. So this is, I think, a much harder problem than if you were to use, say, 10,000 computers in a server room or something like that. This has got to fit into a smallish brain. And this, I think, with the elimination of radar, we're finally getting rid of one of the last crutches. Radar was really it was making up for some of the shortfalls of vision, but this is not good. You actually just need vision to work, and when vision works, it works better than the best human. Because it's like having 8 cameras. It's like having eyes in the back of your head, the sides of your head, and 3 eyes at different focal distances looking forward. This is, and processing it at a speed that is superhuman. There's no question in my mind that with a pure vision solution, we can make a car that is dramatically safer than the average person. So, but it is a hard problem because we are actually solving something quite fundamental about artificial intelligence. We basically have to solve real-world vision AI, and we are. So, and key to solving this is also having just a massive data set. So, just having well over 1 million cars on the road that are collecting data from very sort of corner case rare situations. Sort of like so many weird things in the world, like a truck carrying a truck, or a car with a one example is a car, an actual example, a car with a kayak on the roof, where the kayak has a little weight dangling from the front of the kayak in front of the car, and yet the car must ignore this and just look at the road. So it's really quite tricky, but I am highly confident that we will get this done. So yes, this quarter, and I think we'll continue to see that a little bit in Q2 and Q3. So Q1 had some of the most difficult supply chain challenges that we've ever experienced in the life of Tesla. Insane difficulties with supply chain, with parts over the whole range of parts. Obviously, people have heard about the chip shortage. This is a huge problem. But then, in addition to that, for example, we had quite a bit of difficulty scaling drive unit production in China because we were unable to get critical engineers there because of COVID quarantine restrictions. So, which meant that Tesla worldwide was dependent on drive units made at our factory in Nevada, Gig, Nevada. So that was a very challenging situation. I think we're mostly out of that particular problem. But those are just two of many challenges. So the team is really good, done an incredible job of dealing with really severe supply chain shortages. So let's see, with respect to the Model S and X, there were more challenges than expected in developing the Plaid Model S, or what's called the Palladium program, which is the new version of Model S and X, which has a revised interior and a new battery pack and new drive units and new internal electronics, and has, for example, a PlayStation 5 level infotainment system. There's just a lot of issues encountered. Ensuring that the new factory was super safe was quite hard because we're packing more energy in a smaller space. So it took quite a bit of development to ensure that the battery of the new SX is safe. And we're trying to get all the details in the cars slowly for the past few months, but we're just stacking them up in the yard and just making refinements to the cars that we've built. But we do expect to ramp Model S production and start delivering them probably next month. And then to be in sort of fairly high volume production for the S in Q3, and to start delivering the Model X in Q3 as well. So I think as we ramp up, I think probably the demand for the new SX will be quite high. So it's really just going to be a question of ramping supply chain and internal production processes. So probably we're going to aim to produce over 2,000 SX per week. Perhaps, if we get lucky, upwards of 2,400 or 2,500. This again is contingent on global supply chain issues, which are just a lot of factors outside of our control here. But I do think these things will get sold, so it's just a matter of time, and then we'll be doing well over 2,000 SX per week. And it's a great car. It actually costs us less to produce, a little bit less to produce, but it is a superior product. So in conclusion, there's a lot to be excited about in 2021 and 2022. We're building factories as quickly as we can. Both Texas and Berlin are progressing well. We expect to have initial limited production from those factories this year, and volume production from Texas and Berlin next year. At the same time, we're continuing to ramp production of Model Y in Fremont and Shanghai. In the background, we're continuing development work on the Semi, Cybertruck, the Roadster, and other products. Thanks to everyone at Tesla who made this year a huge success. Now on to questions.
Thank you very much. We have some remarks from Zachary Kirkhorn as well.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Thanks, Elon. So congratulations to the Tesla team on breaking multiple records in the first quarter of 21, as Elon had mentioned, which is typically the most difficult of the year for many reasons. To summarize the quarter, I think it's best understood by three key items. First, we successfully launched and began the ramp of Model Y in Shanghai, achieving positive gross margin in the first quarter of production and receiving a great reception from the market. Second, as Elon mentioned, although we began the production process for the Model S during the quarter, we had not yet begun customer deliveries. The reduction in Model S and X deliveries from Q4 to Q1 were a meaningful headwind to free cash flows and profit generation. For example, we incurred an estimated $200 million of direct P&L impact relating to this program in Q1, the majority of which is reflected in COGS, and that's before even considering the impact of lost revenue and profits as a result of the transition. And as Elon mentioned, we expect the first deliveries to begin shortly. Third, as we continue to work through the instability of the global supply chain, particularly around semiconductors and port capacities, while the Tesla team, in partnership with our suppliers, did tremendous work keeping our factories running, we did experience high expedite costs in the quarter, and they were also higher than they were in Q4, with some minor interruptions to production over the course of the quarter. But we believe that this landscape is improving, but it does remain difficult, and it's an evolving situation. If we double-click within net income, auto gross margin, excluding credits, improved sequentially and year over year. This is in spite of the cost mentions for S&X and expedites and a reduction in global ASPs, as our cost structure as a company is reducing at an even faster pace. So as we look out over the course of the year, we feel optimistic about our gross margin strength, particularly as some of these headwinds we're experiencing start to be resolved. On services and other margins, these have recovered and are trending towards profitability, aided by strength in the used car business, operational improvements in service, and additional service revenue opportunities that help absorb fixed overheads. On energy gross margins, these remained negative for a second quarter. This is driven by solar roof-related ramp costs and winter seasonality in the lease PPA business. We continue to manage through a multi-quarter backlog on Powerwall. We're working as fast as we can to increase production, and this will aid in profitability of this business as those volumes increase. On operating expenses, these increased for Q1, which is driven by our investments in technology and growth. In particular for R&D, this includes the structural battery pack and 4680 cells, investments in the new S&X, and our neural net and silicon investments. On the SG&A side, we're setting up infrastructure and support for both China and EMEA in anticipation of volume to come there. And as I've said before, our plans show that we remain on track for sustained industry-leading operating margins. Double-clicking on cash flows, we continue to generate positive free cash flows, and this was despite the significant working capital headwinds from S&X. Additionally, we are making progress reducing various forms of debt. We also invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin during the quarter, then trimmed our position by 10%, which contributed to a small gain in our Q1 financials. Taking a step back, we've generated $8 billion in operating cash flows and $4 billion in free cash flows over the past 4 quarters. As we look forward, our plans remain unchanged for long-term growth of 50% annually, and we believe we're on track to exceed that this year as we guided to last quarter. Global demand remains meaningfully higher than production levels, and so we're driving as fast as we can to increase our production rates. As we think about Q2 and Q3, these quarters should largely be driven by execution on S&X, as we've discussed, continued ramp of Model Y in Shanghai, and the associated cost reductions of these programs. And we expect profitability and cash generation to evolve over the course of the year in line with those improvements. And then as we get towards the end of the year, our story will pivot towards the launch and ramp of our newest factories in Austin and Berlin. So there's certainly no shortage of exciting things for us to work on and look forward to. Thank you, and we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you very much. And we'll first take retail questions from Say website. The first question is, how is Dojo coming along? Could Dojo unlock an AWS-like business line for Tesla over the next few years?
They don't want to answer it.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So, with respect to Dojo...
Actually, sorry, Zach, my apologies, I was on mute.
Oh, go ahead, Elon.
I was just basically saying that although, like right now, people think of Tesla as, a lot of people think Tesla is a car company or perhaps an energy company. I think long-term people will think of Tesla as much as an AI robotics company as we are a car company or an energy company. I think we are developing one of the strongest hardware and software AI teams in the world. Certainly, we appear to be able to do things with full self-driving that others cannot. So, and if you look at the evolution of what technologies we developed them in order to solve the problem of self-driving. So we couldn't find a powerful enough neural net inference computer, so we designed and built our own. The software out there was really quite primitive for this task, and so we built a team from scratch and have been developing what we think is probably the most advanced real-world AI in the world. And then it sort of makes sense that this is kind of what needs to happen, because the road system is designed for a neural net computer, our brain. Our brain is a neural net computer. And it's designed, the entire road system is designed for vision with a neural net computer, which is because it's designed for eyes in a brain. And so if you have a system which has very good eyes, you can see in all directions at once, you can see 3 focal points ahead, forward, but it never gets tired. It's never sort of texting. It has redundancy, and its reaction time is superhuman. Then it seems pretty obvious that such a system would achieve an extremely high level of safety, far in excess of the average person. So that's what we're doing. Then Dojo is kind of the training part of that. So because we have over 1 million cars, and perhaps next year we'll have 2 million cars in active use, providing vast amounts of video training data that then needs to be digested by a very powerful training system. And currently, we use it's Tesla training software. So we developed a lot of training software, a lot of labeling software to be able to do surround video labeling, which is quite tricky. This means all 8 cameras simultaneously at 36 frames a second per camera, labeling video over time. There wasn't any tool that existed for this, so we developed our own labeling tool. Then taking it a step further, obviously the holy grail is auto labeling. So now we're getting quite good at auto labeling, where the trainers train the training system, and then the system auto labels the data, and then the human labelers just need to look at the labeling to confirm that it is correct and perhaps make edits. And then every time an edit is made, that further trains the system. So it's kind of like a flywheel that's just sort of spinning up. And really the only way to do this is with vast amounts of video data. So then we need to train this efficiently. So Dojo is really it is a supercomputer optimized for neural net training. We think Dojo will be probably an order of magnitude more efficient on say, I'm not sure what the exact right metric is, but say per frame of video, we think it'll be an order of magnitude more cost efficient in hardware and in energy usage per frame of video compared to a GPU-based solution, or compared to the next best solution that we're aware of. So then possibly that could be used by others. It does seem as though over time, I mean, just an observation, I think basically just a fact, that neural net-based computing or AI-based computing is more and more of the compute stack. conventional computing, perhaps heuristics based computing is still going to be important, still going to be very important, but it will become, but neural net will become a bigger and bigger portion of compute. So anyway, that was a long story, but I think, yeah, probably others will want to use it too, and we'll make it available.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the second question from retail investors. The recent price changes on solar roof have been discouraging for customers and investors. Could Tesla share more about solar roof challenges and if the outlook has changed at all, i.e. 1,000 roofs per week?
Yeah, first of all, I should say that the demand for the solar roof remains strong. So despite raising the price, the demand is still significantly in excess of our ability to meet the demand to install the solar roofs. So production is going fine, but we are choked at the installation point. We did find that we basically made some significant mistakes in assessing the difficulty of certain roofs. But the complexity of roofs varies dramatically. Some roofs can be literally 2 or 3 times easier than other roofs. So you just can't have a one-size-fits-all situation. If a roof has a lot of protuberances, or if the roof the core structure of the roof is rotted out or is not strong enough to hold the solar roof, then the costs can be double, sometimes 3 times what our initial quotes were. So in those cases, what we've obviously offered to do is to refund customers their deposit, but what we cannot do is go and just lose a massive amount of money. We just got to provide a refund of the deposit. But perhaps what is I think most important about the solar roof situation, which I tweeted about this past week, is that we're shifting the whole sort of solar situation, so the solar Powerwall, basically solar plus battery situation, to there's only one product, basically, or there's only one configuration. Every house, we will not sell a house solar without a Powerwall. That solar could either be solar retrofit, with conventional panels put on a roof, or it can be the Tesla solar glass roof. But in all cases, it will have the Powerwall 2. Technically, it's actually Powerwall 2 Plus, if you will. The Plus refers to a higher peak power capability. So basically, all Powerwalls made since roughly November of last year have a lot more peak power capability than the specification on the website. They have about twice the power capability, roughly. It depends on how you count power, but about twice the peak power, and about arguably twice the steady state power of the specification on the website. The energy is the same, but the power is roughly double. And all installations, all installations will have the Powerwall, and the difficulty of the installation will dramatically increase, or the difficulty of the installation will be much less. It'll be much easier because the power from the solar roof, solar glass roof, or the solar panels will only ever go directly into the Powerwall, and the Powerwall will only ever go between the utility mains, between the utility and the main power panel of the house, which means you never need to touch the main circuit breakers of the house. You never need to touch the house circuit breakers. Effectively, almost every house therefore looks the same electrically, instead of being a unique work of art and requiring exceptional ability to rewire the main panel. So this is extremely important for scalability. It's the only way to do it, really. And this also means that every solar Powerwall installation, that the house or apartment, whatever the case may be, will be its own utility. And so even if all the lights go out in the neighborhood, you will still have power. So that gives people energy security. And we can also, in working with the utilities, use the Powerwalls to stabilize the overall grid. So let's say that there's like there was in Texas, there was a peak power demand, and that peak power demand, because the grid lacked the ability to buffer the power, they had to shut down power. There's no power storage, no good form of power storage. However, with a whole bunch of Powerwalls at houses, we can actually buffer the power. So if the grid needs more power, we can actually then, with the consent, obviously, of the homeowner and in partnership with the utility, we can then actually release power onto the grid to take care of peak power demands. So effectively, the Powerwalls can operate as a giant distributed utility. This is profound. I'm not sure how many people will actually understand this, but this is extremely profound and necessary, because we are headed towards a world where, as we were just talking about earlier, where people are moving towards electric vehicles. This will mean that the power needs at homes and businesses will increase significantly. There will need to be a bunch more electricity coming somewhere. In fact, if you go to full renewable electricity, we need about 3 times as much electricity as we currently have. So these are rough numbers, but you roughly need twice as much electricity if all transport goes electric, and then you need 3 times as much electricity if all heating goes electric. So basically, this is a prosperous future, I think, both for Tesla and for the utilities. Because, and in fact, I think this will be very, if this is not done, the utilities will fail to serve their customers. They won't be able to do it. They won't be able to react fast enough. And we're going to see more and more of what we see in California and Texas, of people seeing brownouts and blackouts, and the utilities not being able to respond because there's a massive change going on with the transition to electric transport, and we're seeing more extreme weather events. This is a recipe for disaster. So it is very important to have solar and batteries at the local level at the house. In addition, it is important to have large battery storage at the utility level, so that solar and wind, which are the main forms of renewable electricity, that electricity can be stored, because sometimes the wind doesn't blow, sometimes it blows a lot, sometimes it blows too much, and sometimes it doesn't blow enough. But if you have a battery, you can store the energy and provide the energy to the grid as needed. The same goes for solar, because obviously the sun does not shine at night, and sometimes it is very cloudy. And so by having battery storage paired with solar and wind, this is the long-term solution to a sustainable energy future. And as I said, this really needs to occur both at the local level and at the utility level. If it doesn't occur at the local level, what will actually be required is a massive increase in power lines, in power plants. So they have to put long distance and local power lines all over the place. They'll have to increase the size of the substations. It's a nightmare. This must occur. There must be solar plus battery. It's the only way. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. And the next retail question is, Master of Coin, can you tell us anything about Tesla's future plans in digital currency space, or when any such major developments might be revealed?
Sure. Thanks, Martin. So as I noted in our opening remarks, and we've announced previously, so Tesla did invest $1.5 billion into Bitcoin in Q1, and then we subsequently sold a 10% stake in that. We also allow customers to make vehicle deposits and final vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. And so where our Bitcoin story began, maybe just to share a little of the context here, Elon and I were looking for a place to store cash that wasn't being immediately used, try to get some level of return on this, but also preserve liquidity. Particularly as we look forward to the launch of Austin and Berlin and uncertainty that's happening with semiconductors and port capacity, being able to access our cash very quickly is super important to us right now. And, there aren't many traditional opportunities to do this, or at least that we found and in talking to others that we could get good feedback on, particularly with yields being so low and without taking on additional risk or sacrificing liquidity. And Bitcoin seemed at the time, and so far has proven to be a good decision, a good place to place some of our cash that's not immediately being used for daily operations or maybe not needed till the end of the year, and be able to get some return on that. And, I think one of the key points that I want to make about our experiences in the digital currency space is that there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic here. We're certainly watching it very closely at Tesla, watching how the market develops, listening to what our customers are saying. But, thinking about it from a corporate treasury perspective, we've been quite pleased with how much liquidity there is in the Bitcoin market. So our ability to build our first position happened very quickly. When we did the sale later in March, we also were able to execute on that very quickly. And so as we think about kind of global liquidity for the business and risk management, being able to get cash in and out of the markets is something that I think is exceptionally important for us. So we do believe long-term in the value of Bitcoin, so it is our intent to hold what we have long-term and continue to accumulate Bitcoin from transactions from our customers as they purchase vehicles. Specifically with respect to things we may do, there are things that we're constantly discussing. We're not planning to make any announcements here, and we're watching the space closely. So when we're ready to make an announcement on this front, if there's one to come, we'll certainly let you all know.
Thank you. And the fourth question from retail investors is, does Tesla have any proactive plans to tackle mainstream media's imminent, massive, and deceptive clickbait headline campaigns on safety of Autopilot or FSD? Perhaps specialty PR job of some sort?
I'll take this one, guys. From the safety side, I continue to say as Elon, that safety is driving point and all. Go ahead, Elon.
I think please go ahead. I think it's much worth just going through the facts of the specifically there was an article regarding a tragedy where there was a high-speed accident in Tesla that and there was really just extremely deceptive media practices where it was claimed to be Autopilot, where this is completely false. And those journalists should be ashamed of themselves. Please go ahead, Lars.
Yeah, thanks, Elon. So I was just saying we're committed to safety in all our designs, and that's number one in what we do here. Regarding the crash in Houston specifically, we work directly with the local authorities, NTSB and NHTSA, wherever applicable, and whenever they reach out to us for help, directly on the engineering level and whatever else we can support. In that vein, we did a study with them over the past week to understand what happened in that particular crash, and what we've learned from that effort was that AutoSteer did not and could not engage on the road condition that as it was designed. Our adaptive cruise control only engaged when a driver was buckled and above 5 miles per hour, and it only accelerated to 30 miles per hour over the distance before the car crashed. As well, adaptive cruise control disengaged the car slowly to complete to a stop when the driver's seatbelt was unbuckled. Through further investigation of the vehicle and accident remains, We inspected the car with NTSB and NHTSA and the local police, and we were able to find that the steering wheel was indeed deformed, so leading to the likelihood that someone was in the driver's seat at the time of the crash, and all seatbelts post-crash were found to be unbuckled. We were unable to recover the data from the SD card at the time of impact, but the local authorities are working on doing that, and we await their report. As I said, we continue to hold safety in a high regard and look to improve our products in the future through this kind of data and other information from the field.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the next question from institutional investors. The first question is, proponents of alternative grid storage technologies claim that lithium-ion is unsuited for long-term storage at scale due to vampire drain. Could 4680 cells address this limitation? Is the limitation even relevant for charging the energy equation?
Yeah, just let me jump in on the vampire drain. That's definitely not the issue. A good lithium-ion cell self-discharges less than 0.001% of its energy per day. So it has, this vampire drain is maybe not separate. No. Yeah.
As mythical as vampires.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the challenge with seasonal storage is your value proposition drops from hundreds of useful full cycles per year to less than maybe 10 or maybe even less than 5 cycles per year. So it's just a different type of technology, altogether that would make sense, given that it's more than an order of magnitude different use case.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a long way to go before we're dealing with seasonal technology issues. But certainly a way to deal with seasonal technology would be to have wind and solar growing on the side of more southerly latitudes, but then across a variety of longitudes. So essentially, like let's say in the U.S., for example, if there was, I'm not sure if you'll understand this, that you can actually power the entire United States with just sort of roughly a 100-mile by 100-mile grid of solar. Sometimes people don't quite understand, like, well, how much solar is needed to power the United States? Almost nothing of the United States required to power the United States, and this is true of almost any country in the world. The solar incidence is a gigawatt per square kilometer. This is insane. In fact, if you took the clear area, just the area, for nuclear power plants, the area that is considered not usable because a nuclear power plant is there, in most cases, if you just put solar there, it would generate more power than the nuclear power plant. This is because they typically have pretty wide clear areas. If you have, say, 25% efficient solar panels, and then those are 80% efficient in how they're laid out, you're going to do about 200 megawatts per square kilometer. Therefore, 5 square kilometers is a gigawatt, which might be a typical sort of power plant. It's really not much area at all, and a lot of places can have wind and solar in the same place. So, anyway, it's entirely possible to power all of Earth with a small percentage of Earth's area, and then to transmit that power through high voltage DC lines. No new technology. No. You don't need room temperature superconductors. This is also another myth. Room temperature superconductors, almost irrelevant in my opinion. Almost irrelevant. Low cost, long distance power lines using copper or aluminum, very important. So heating is I squared R. So that's current squared times resistance. So as you increase voltage, you can drop the current dramatically, and drop the heating dramatically to the point where it is of minor relevance. Like maybe you lose 5 to 7% with a high voltage DC power line, something like that. So I want to be clear, no physics is necessary, no new materials is necessary. We just need to scale this thing up. We have the technologies exist today to solve renewable energy. And sometimes people say, well, why don't we do it? That's because the energy basis of the Earth is gigantic, super mega insanely gigantic. So you can't just go and do a zillion terawatts overnight. You've got to build the production capacity for the cells, for the battery cells, for the solar cells. You've got to put that into vehicles. You've got to put that into stationary storage packs. You've got to put that into solar panels and solar glass roofs, and you've got to deploy all this thing, all this stuff. But it is certainly the case that we can accelerate this, and we should try to accelerate it. The right thing to do, I think, from an economic standpoint, and I think almost any economist would agree, is to have a carbon tax, just as we have a tax on cigarettes and alcohol, which we think are more likely to be bad than good, and we tend to tax fruit and vegetables less. The same should be true. We should tax energy that we think is probably bad, and support energy we think is probably good, just like cigarettes and alcohol versus fruits and vegetables. It's just common sense. But I guess on the plus side, I'm not suggesting anyone be complacent, but sustainable energy, renewable energy will be solved. It is being solved, but it matters how fast we solve it. And if we solve it faster, that's better for the world.
Thank you very much.
There's no question in my mind whatsoever that the energy storage problem can be solved with lithium-ion batteries. Zero. I want to be clear. Zero. I think the bias will tend to be towards iron-based lithium-ion cells. When people say lithium-ion, people think lithium must be a big constituent of the cells. It's more like 1 to 2% of the cell is lithium. The main part of the cell is the cathode. The main mass and cost in the cell is the cathode. For high energy cells, like for example, what we use in most Teslas have nickel-based lithium-ion cells, which have higher energy density, longer range than iron-based cells. However, for stationary storage, the energy density is not as important because it's just sitting on the ground. And so I think the vast majority of stationary storage will be iron-based lithium-ion cells with an iron phosphate cathode, technically. But I think the phosphate part is unnecessary. It's really just iron or nickel. Unnecessary in the terminology. Just think of it as iron and nickel. And there's an insane amount of iron in the world, more iron than we could possibly use, and there's also more lithium than we could possibly use. Basically, there is no shortage of anything whatsoever in iron phosphate lithium-ion cells.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the next question from institutional investors, which is, you've suggested that between a 5x to 10x improvement is achievable in the automotive production versus the first Model 3 line on the first principles physics analysis. Where does Berlin sit relative to that limit?
Oh, I think we're still quite far away from it. I mean, the thing to bear in mind with production is, for those who've never done production, they just don't understand how insanely hard production is. I want to really be very, very emphatic here. Prototypes are trivial. They're child's play. Production is hard. It is very hard. Now you say production at large scale with high reliability and low cost, insanely difficult. But what Tesla achieved on the automotive side was not to create an electric car. The truly profound thing on the car side is that Tesla was the first American car company to achieve volume production of a car in 100 years and not go bankrupt. So this is this. I basically, myself and many others at Tesla had to basically have several aneurysms to get this done. It was so hard. You have no idea. So anyway, and the thing about making a large, complex manufactured object is, let's say you have first order approximation, 10,000 unique items. If even one of those items is slow, that sets your weight. Just one. Doesn't matter how, so trivial. We've had production stop because of carpet in the trunk. We had production stop because of a USB cable. At one point for the Model S, we literally raided every electronics store in the Bay Area. For a few days there, nobody could buy a USB cable in the Bay Area because we went and bought them all to put them in the car. Literally. And there's like hundreds of stories like that. So anyway, that's the solving those constraints and a logistics problem that makes World War II look trivial. I'm not kidding. Like, the scale is insane. We're talking millions of cars, massive global supply chain, 50 countries, dozens of regulatory regimes. It's insane. So, yeah.
Thank you. And the last question from institutional investor is, Master Plan Part 2 talks about an urban transport vehicle that is smaller than traditional bus with greater aerial density achieved by removing the central aisle. Do you have any updates to share on this goal?
Not at this time.
No
okay,
shit's
thank
given.
you very much. So let's move to analyst Q&A.
Thank you.
This should be good.
First question is from Pierre Ferrago with New Street Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks a lot for taking my question. I'd love to get actually an update on what you presented on the battery day. In the last 6-7 months, I was wondering how much progress you've made on that front, first in terms of process development. So how are things coming together on your pilot line? Are you getting to the kind of production throughput you were aiming for? And second, actually on your production ramp. So I was wondering in which sites you're ramping production capacity for the 4680 cell and where you stand on ramping up that capacity as well. And I'll have a quick follow-up on energy as well, if that's possible.
Well, so we have and Drew closely add to this, but we have our small sort of pilot plant, which is still big by normal standards, expected to have like a 10 gigawatt hour per year capability in Fremont, California, and we've made quite a few cells. We're not quite yet at the point where we think the cells are reliable enough to be shipped in cars, but we're getting close to that point. And then we've already ordered most of the equipment for battery production in Berlin, and then much of it for Austin as well. So we're really down to like the nitty-gritty elements. But overall, I think we still feel quite optimistic about this achieving volume production of the 4680 next year.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Just one thing I would add is there's been a lot of questions about yields. Actually, I noticed people asking about that, and the yield progress has been really strong every day. When we were really still in commissioning phase with most of the tools, to the point where we're confident that the yield trajectory aligns with our internal cost projections. We did talk about yield also at Battery Day, which is one of the reasons why it's useful to check in on that. It takes a while, as Elon just mentioned, to go from prototype to production, and it's not just parts, it's processes, it's equipment. But as we've matured those pieces of the process equipment, we've gotten to where we need to be on the yield side.
Yeah, and basically, this is just a guess because we don't know for sure, but it appears as though we're about 12, but probably not more than 18 months away from volume production of the 4680. Now, at the same time, we are actually trying to have our cell supply partners ramp up their supply as much as possible. So this is not something that is to the exclusion of suppliers. It is in conjunction with suppliers. So
yeah.
we want to be super clear about that. This is not about replacing suppliers. It is about supplementing the suppliers. So we have a very strong partnership with CATL, with Panasonic, and LG. And our request to our strategic partners for cell supply is please supply us with as much as you possibly can. Provided the price is affordable, we will buy everything that they can make.
Yeah, and specific to that, we're on track to more than double the supplier capacity over the next 13.
Yeah, exactly. We do expect from suppliers willing to receive double the cell output next year versus this year.
Yep.
Okay. And I had a quick follow-up on maybe, Zach, for you on your energy business. So I understand like the negative gross margin with solar roof RAM, but I was wondering, what do gross margin look like there when you look at the storage business, and what's your ambition in terms of gross margin in that business? As I guess it's going to grow in the mix in coming years. So it's important for long-term modeling.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of.
We're aiming for comparable margins in storage as in vehicle, but it is important to bear in mind that vehicle is more mature than the storage. So we already are at good margins with the Powerwall, but some additional work is needed for the Megapack to achieve good margins. Yeah, Drew, what do you think?
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, just jumping in, Elon. Absolutely agree. Yeah, Powerwall is mature. We've been producing Powerwall 2 for 3 years now, and we're at good margins there. But Megapack has more room to go to achieve our targets.
So we have a clear runway for improving the cost per the megawatt hour of the Megapack.
Absolutely, yes, we do.
Thank you. Let's go to the next question, please.
From Rod Lackey with Wolfe Research, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I was hoping maybe just first you could talk a little bit about how you're thinking about the rollout of version 9 of FSD and the transition to the subscription model. It sounds like some of this is about to roll out next month. I'm not sure if that's the subscription model, but maybe you could just spend a little time talking about how impactful you expect that to be.
Sorry, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, we're working on getting FSD subscription out. There's a couple of internal technical dependencies, but from a business model perspective, that's aligned, and we're hoping to roll that out soon. The key thing that I say here, there's a lot of potential for recurring revenue based on an FSD subscription. If you look at the size of our fleet and you look at the number of customers who did not purchase FSD up front or on a lease and maybe want to experiment with FSD, this is a great option for them. One of the things we'll need to keep an eye on is a potential transition from cash purchases of FSD subscription over to, or cash purchases of FSD who may move over to FSD subscription. And so there could be a period of time in which, cash reduces in the near term, and then as the portfolio of subscription customers builds up, then that becomes a pretty strong business for us over time. But we're hoping to get this launched pretty soon and see what the response is to it.
Okay, great. And was hoping, Zach, maybe you could just talk a little bit about OpEx. There was a noticeable increase, even excluding SBC. Obviously, a lot going on this quarter, but can you maybe just talk a little bit about how we should be thinking about that going forward?
Sure. On the R&D side, what we're seeing, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, is kind of a convergence of a series of programs that are happening. And our R&D OpEx spend kind of correlates to where we are in the product life cycle on different programs. And so we're kind of at the tail end of investments in what we call internally Palladium, which is the new Model S and Model X. And so we expect that to decrease over time, but it was high in Q1 for a lot of the reasons that Elon had mentioned. We're also getting very heavy into 4680 development that Drew and team are working on, and the associated structural battery pack that goes along with that. And so these are new technologies, not only new to Tesla, but new to the industry. And so we're investing heavily there on an R&D side to work out those kinks. And, spend along in those areas, should continue over time as we continue to work through the development cycle of those. And then I also mentioned, Elon talked a bit about, Dojo and the potential there. So from neural net investments and custom silicon investments, these continue to be areas that we spend on and make investments in. On the SG&A side, the business is pivoting very quickly to be global, and China is ramping quite quickly. And we're trying to make sure that we are staying ahead of the volume so that we have the right sales capacity, store capacity there, local investments in IT and others to manage the growth, such that as the growth comes, the execution challenges are smaller than maybe in similar periods of growth that we've seen in the past. And so we're making investments there ahead of the growth. And overall, as we look at OpEx as a percentage of revenue over the course of the year, we do expect to see a substantial drop from 2020 to 2021 as the volumes in the latter part of the year pick up.
Thank you. Let's go to the next question, please.
Thank you. From Dan Levy with Credit Suisse. Your line is open.
Hi. Good evening. Thanks. Two questions. One is on COGS. I think we've gotten from Battery Day a pretty good feel about the potential for COGS reduction related to powertrain, but I'd like to get a sense of the path to reducing COGS ex powertrain, as you'd still need a meaningful reduction on that front to make the math work on a $25,000 vehicle. So what levers do you have to reducing your cost ex powertrain? Is it just more scale, better supplier pricing, or is it just based on ongoing cost reductions?
Sure. I think all of the above.
Yeah, on the vehicle side, there's plenty of opportunity as well. Obviously, building a car like a Model S is quite complex and has various moving parts. Model 3 and Model Y were steps of improvement in that. But when you look at some of the other advancements that we're including in the Model Y factories into Austin and Berlin, we've reduced the body part count by as much as 60%, and the part costs money. So we continue to find optimizations there, as well as we get economies of scale when we start to talk about the volumes we're considering worldwide with 4 factories building the same vehicle. So both of those things on the vehicle side will improve our COGS as well, and the powertrain continues to be integrated into that.
Great. And then just related, as we see Berlin and Austin ramp, I'd like to just get a sense on the comparison of Fremont versus the new capacity. Obviously, Fremont non-optimized because you bought, the old NUMMI facility. You had to retrofit that to your needs. So maybe you can give us a sense of how your new capacity is going to differ versus Fremont. what are the areas that you have efficiencies that you previously didn't have, and maybe, how much does that add up to improved COGS over time to help you achieve that $25,000 vehicle?
Yeah, I don't think we don't want to talk too much about future product development. The earnings calls are not the right place for to make major product announcements. So yeah, we'll get there, but we'll talk about it later.
All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for dialing in and for listening, and we'll speak to you again in about 3 months. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Well, there we go. There we go. Let's get rid of this stupid... All right, can you hear me now? Okay, hopefully I'm coming in okay. For everyone on the chat, everyone in the chat saying, am I coming in okay? Let me know in the chat if I'm coming in okay now. Hopefully. Okay, good. Okay. Steve says I'm good. Okay, now I'm loud. But basically, everyone's saying in the chat that Elon Musk, oh, fuck. Oh, hold on. Am I muted? Okay, hold on. Good now? Okay. I can't tell because there's some people that are late. So let me just see. Hold on one sec. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Crisis averted. Okay. So for everyone basically saying Elon Musk can't speak publicly, blah blah blah. Just get used to this. That's how Elon talks. That's just the way he goes. It's nothing out of the norm. A couple of hiccups there between Zach and I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but today Elon was taking the wheel. He was taking questions away from everyone and he was spearheading everything. But the one question that I wish he spearheaded about FSD and FSD version 9 and beta and subscription, he gave to Zach. I was like, shit, like the institutional questions are not amazing. But man, like it's just it was sad. I mean, the pricing model for FSD is still to be determined. I mean, we'll see what that's going to look like. 4680 battery volume production, he says it's between 12 and 18 months away. I think they're sandbagging that a little bit. Institutional questions were a little bit boring, absolutely, but that's why they're institutional. But again, I mean, pretty classic earnings. If you look at the stock price, we talked about this today, is even with good earnings, like Tesla, and I'm not saying Tesla is down because for all intents and purposes, Tesla is pretty flat at the moment. We closed at 737 and now we're at 724. So, I mean, really, like, for Tesla, this is about as flat as you get post earnings. But it's kind of expected, right? And I think we said that. I made a line here, by the way, when earnings calls started, right over here. And so we were at 725 when earnings calls started, and now we're at 721.22. So a couple of dollars difference on the earnings call. Nothing major out of there. The biggest thing is, Elon Musk, and we were talking on our chat. I was talking with Anne at the moment. But by the way, if you want to join our chat room, a link is for Patreon in the description. Any level gets you there. But we were talking, and Anne was saying that Wall Street is laser focused on delivery numbers and gross margin forward guidance. Well, if we read in between the lines, and I guess not even in between because they explicitly stated out, they say they're projecting at least 50% delivery year-over-year growth. So last year we hit 500,000. So this year we're expecting at least 750 for the year of 2021. And they say at least, and that's because they probably think with just what they got going on right now, they can probably hit 750. But if Berlin and Texas take too long and they guide at 900, assuming that Berlin and Texas are going to be done end of year and there's going to be some production, well then come July, if the permits aren't passed and or construction is delayed, if you've done any sort of construction, you know about what timelines mean in construction, right? If any sort of hiccups happen, the stock price is going to be hammered. So what they're doing, I'm guessing, is just sticking with, if they stuck with the only factories that they have right now, could they hit 750? The answer is yes. So that's what they're projecting for, right? That's what I'm thinking is kind of happening here at the moment. With Cybertruck, nothing major there. I see T-Mac has just posted on Discord. Actually, I'll share with you guys our combo that we're having on Discord at the moment. T-Mac says, if T-Mac's listening to the stream at the moment, but he says Elon talked about Cybertruck in the same breath as other future products like Semi and Roadster. I'm eagerly awaiting Cybertruck as my next vehicle. Didn't give me any confidence, but at least the very moment he felt like there would be any significant production this year. Yeah, so I'm in the same boat. I don't think there's going to be significant production this year. You might get a couple of Cybertrucks on the road for sure, but they're very tight-lipped on what's happening with future productions with future production lines there. So something to keep in mind. I mean, again, Semi is the same problem, right? I think as soon as we get Semi production or 46A battery production up and running, that's when Semi and Cybertruck and everything is really going to scale to the moon. So that's it. I mean, this is it. Another earnings wrapped up. Another earnings in the books for us here on Hit That Bid. Thanks for everyone for joining. At the peak, we're at 700, 800 people listening. Much love to everyone. Tyler's saying hi. Tyler is one of the moderators on Discord and on YouTube right there. So yeah, if you want to join us on Discord, which is essentially our chat room for our channel, description, check the description for Patreon. It's much appreciated, any support that you want to give. Everyone's going to go in there and talk now. And for tomorrow, I mean, I probably consider us being down a couple of % tomorrow when we wake up. Do I see a world where we sell off in the first hour of the day and then we continue to rally into 740, 750? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Johnny's coming in there. Much love to everyone tuning in. Again, this is Yashu. Hit That Bid. Hope you enjoyed our live stream. We're going for about 3 hours here at the moment, and this will be recorded. You can watch it back if you need to, if you want to, if you have time, if you missed some portions. Edward, first time here, thanks. That was epic. Had a great time. We do this every earnings, but more importantly, if you're listening, we live stream multiple times per week. Some weeks we go every day. It really depends on what's happening and how much free time we got. But definitely join us in the chat room if you want to. I think for $3 or $5 a month, you can get into the chat room, whatever it is. It helps support the channel if you want to. But if not, that's fine. No big deal. You can join for free and just join us on the live streams. If you want to get alerted, by the way, I don't really have a schedule for the lives. Hit the subscribe and hit the bell notification, and you'll get alerted for that. Washroom break. Yeah, I did take. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. I paused my camera. I had to take a quick leak, but we were good. So that is it. Tomorrow might be a little bit disappointing if you were betting on a 10% pop up. But that being said, anything long term here is I mean, to me at least, it sounds like a good earnings report. All right, guys. Much love to everyone. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. And if you only want to catch the earnings, I'll catch you in 3 months. If you care about Tesla stock and daily news coming out with Tesla, I do a daily kind of market recap of what happened. You can hit the live stream for that as well. All right, guys. Take care. Catch you guys later. Peace.